The mystery surrounding the Knights Templar has captivated generations. But what if their true purpose was far more dangerous than anyone has ever imagined? What if the Templars weren't just guarding treasures or sacred relics, but a powerful artifact with the potential to reshape humanity's understanding of reality? Beneath their noble quest to protect the Holy Grail, could there have been a darker secret? An ancient crystal with unimaginable power, tied to a lost civilization far older than anything we know? This hidden truth could change the course of history if it was ever revealed. The real question is, were the Templars the last line of defense against a power we weren't meant to control? The mystery of the Templars is an enigma that has captivated the world for centuries, and the key to this enigma lies in a single, unsettling question. What if the true mission of the Knights Templar was never about guarding treasure or land, but about protecting something much more dangerous and far more ancient? What if the Knights Templar weren't just defenders of the Holy Grail, as legend suggests, but protectors of a power that could alter the course of history? A power so great, so ancient, that it could unlock the deepest secrets of human consciousness, reshape the balance of power, and threaten the very fabric of civilization as we know it? The Templars, those noble warriors of the Crusades, have always been the subject of speculation, from their mysterious rise to power to their sudden and catastrophic fall in the early 14th century. But beneath the surface of their religious and military duties, could there have been a deeper, more secretive reason for their existence? A reason tied to something far older than the Christian faith they swore to protect? A secret far more ancient and shrouded in mystery than even the Grail itself? What if the Templars' true mission wasn't just a matter of wealth, land, or military conquest, but the guarding of a hidden artifact of unimaginable power? A crystal that was not of this world, but of another time, another civilization. For centuries, the story of the Templars has been intertwined with the search for the Holy Grail. Legends have flourished, weaving tales of an order of knights who discovered the Grail beneath the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, and then dedicated their lives to guarding it from those who would misuse its power. But what if this story was only the surface of a much deeper, more profound secret? The idea of the Holy Grail, an object that is said to possess miraculous powers, may have been a cover, a veil that concealed the true nature of the Templars' sacred mission. What if their real quest was to protect an object far older and far more dangerous than the Grail? A crystal with the ability to unlock powers that modern science can scarcely comprehend. The crystal in question has been described in ancient texts as possessing unimaginable power. Descriptions vary, but many of them hint at its extraordinary abilities. The power to heal, to control minds, to manipulate reality itself. Some believe it was a gift from the gods, a relic of an ancient civilization that predates even the Egyptians, Atlantis. Yes, the fabled lost city of Atlantis, whose very existence has been debated by scholars for millennia, could hold the key to understanding the crystal's true nature. Was the Templar Order, which rose to prominence during the Crusades, unknowingly carrying the legacy of Atlantis? Were they chosen to protect this artifact, this Atlantean crystal, because of its potential to change the course of humanity? The idea of Atlantis is often dismissed as a mere myth, a fanciful tale conjured by the mind of Plato. Yet, many believe that the myth contains more truth than we are willing to acknowledge. Atlantis was described as a powerful and technologically advanced civilization that existed long before the rise of ancient Egypt or Mesopotamia. According to Plato, the Atlanteans had access to knowledge and technology that far surpassed anything we have today. This knowledge, if it truly existed, could have been passed down through generations, eventually making its way to the Templars. The question is, what exactly was this knowledge, and why was it so important that it needed to be hidden away for millennia? As we examine the rise of the Templars, we begin to see how their power and influence grew at an astonishing rate. What began as a small group of monks who took vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience quickly became one of the most powerful and wealthy organizations in medieval Europe. By the time the Templars were officially disbanded in the early 14th century, they controlled vast swaths of land, accumulated untold riches, and had established a secretive network that spanned across the known world. But how did they go from humble monks to feared knights and secretive guardians of an ancient artifact? Could their sudden rise to power have been part of a larger, more grandiose plan? One that involved protecting a secret that was far more valuable than gold? At the heart of the Templars' power was their remarkable ability to maintain a network of communication and influence, all while operating in secrecy. They were skilled in the art of espionage, using their vast network of informants and agents to gather intelligence and maintain control over their vast holdings. But what if their true purpose was not just to wield political power, but to protect the ancient secret they had discovered? What if the Templars had become the keepers of the Atlantean Crystal, a secret so powerful that it could shift the very balance of power in the world? The idea that the Templars were guardians of an ancient and powerful artifact may seem far-fetched at first. After all, what evidence do we have to support such a claim? The truth is, the evidence is scattered, hidden in plain sight, and buried beneath centuries of secrecy and misdirection. The Templars were known to have operated in Jerusalem, the very city where the Temple of Solomon once stood, a place that has been the subject of countless theories, myths, and legends. It is said that the Templars dug beneath the Temple Mount in search of the Holy Grail. But what if they were searching for something even more ancient and more dangerous? Something that could unlock the lost knowledge of Atlantis? In fact, there are numerous accounts from Templar members and outside sources that suggest the Order's interest in the Temple Mount was far from ordinary. The Templars claim to have found something beneath the surface, something so powerful that it was kept hidden for centuries. But despite their influence and wealth, the Templars were not immune to the forces that sought to destroy them. In 1307, King Philip IV of France, seeking to claim the wealth and power of the Templar Order, ordered their mass arrest. What followed was one of the most dramatic and devastating events in medieval history, the suppression of the Templars. But did the fall of the Templars really mark the end of their secret mission? Or did it simply push their knowledge deeper into the shadows? As the Templars were hunted, many believed that they took their secrets with them into the unknown. Some say that the crystal was hidden away, passed down through generations, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. Others claim that the Templars' legacy lived on in secret societies, organizations like the Freemasons, that continued their work in guarding the ancient knowledge. But no matter where the crystal may have gone, one thing remains clear. The Templars were more than just knights. They were the protectors of an ancient secret, one that could change the course of history. This is where the story takes an even darker turn. What if the real reason the Templars were targeted for destruction wasn't their wealth, but the dangerous knowledge they held? What if the kings and popes who sought to eliminate them were not just motivated by greed, but by fear of the crystal's power? In the centuries since the Templars' fall, this fear has only grown. From secret societies to modern-day treasure hunters, the search for the crystal continues. The question remains, what is the Templar secret, and why has it been hidden away for so long? The answer, if we are brave enough to seek it, may just change everything we know about our past and our future. What if the true mission of the Templars wasn't just to protect the Christian faith, but to safeguard the world from a power that could never be allowed to fall into the wrong hands? What if this secret, this crystal, holds the key to a forgotten age of humanity, a civilization that was far ahead of its time, and that only the Templars, the original guardians of this knowledge, could ever truly understand? The mysteries of the Templars are far from solved, and with each passing year, the question remains, what was it that they were really protecting? The rise of the Knights Templar is a tale that stretches across the pages of history, entwining the spiritual with the military, the religious with the political. To understand the true nature of their mission, we must first journey back to the origins of the order itself, an order that began not with the promise of wealth, glory, or power, but with a simple vow of piety and devotion. Yet, as the Templars began to grow, their story took an unexpected turn, one that would lead them far beyond the humble beginnings of their first temple in Jerusalem and into the realm of the extraordinary. It all started in the early 12th century, amidst the turbulence of the Crusades, when the Holy Land had become the focal point of religious warfare between Christians and Muslims. The Crusades were more than just military campaigns. They were spiritual odysseys, journeys of faith, and battles for the soul of Christianity. Jerusalem, the sacred city, lay at the heart of this conflict. In 1099, after years of bloody conflict, The city of Jerusalem was finally captured by the Crusaders, and it became the center of Christian hopes and dreams. However, the city was a dangerous place for pilgrims, as they faced constant threats from hostile forces, including bandits and warlords. It was within this chaotic and perilous environment that a small group of knights came together, bound by their faith and their desire to protect the pilgrims who traveled to Jerusalem to seek the Holy Land's blessings. Their mission was simple: to provide safety for those on their spiritual journey. They called themselves the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, an order founded not for wealth or conquest, but to defend the Christian faith. Their name was derived from the Temple Mount, the site of the ancient Temple of Solomon, which was believed to be the holiest place in the world. The Templars' original purpose was modest. They sought only to protect pilgrims from the dangers that lurked along the roads to Jerusalem. But even in their earliest years, something more seemed to be at play. This small band of knights soon garnered the attention of powerful figures, both within the Christian world and beyond. As their numbers grew, so too did their influence, and before long, they had become an indispensable force in the Christian kingdom of Jerusalem. Their commitment to the defense of the Holy Land earned them the favor of kings and popes, as well as the trust of the most powerful religious authorities of the time. The Templars' rise to prominence was not simply due to their martial prowess. They were highly organized, disciplined, and efficient. They established a network of castles, fortresses, and strongholds throughout the Holy Land and beyond, including in Europe. As the years passed, the order became a military force like no other. Their famous white mantles adorned with a red cross became a symbol of their unwavering commitment to their cause. But despite their growing power, there was always something that set the Templars apart from other military orders. It wasn't just their skill with a sword or their strategic genius. It was the aura of mystery that seemed to surround them. In the early 12th century, the Templars began to dig beneath the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. What they were searching for is a subject of much speculation. But what is certain is that they uncovered something far beyond the expectations of their original mission. Some historians believe that the Templars were digging in search of religious relics, perhaps even the fabled Ark of the Covenant, which was said to be housed in the Temple of Solomon before it disappeared from history. Others suggest that the Templars were searching for something far older, something that predated even the rise of Christianity and the Temple of Solomon. The truth of what the Templars discovered beneath the Temple Mount remains one of history's greatest mysteries. Some have speculated that they uncovered a hidden vault or chamber, containing ancient knowledge or artifacts of profound significance. Could they have stumbled upon something that was not meant to be found? Was their discovery connected to the lost civilization of Atlantis? What if the Templars had unearthed a relic with power so great, so dangerous, that it was kept hidden from the world for centuries? The discovery of such an artifact would explain the Templars' sudden and dramatic rise to power. It would explain why they were able to command vast resources and establish such a widespread influence across Europe and the Middle East. It would also explain the intense secrecy that surrounded their order. The Templars were not merely monks with swords. They were keepers of a secret, guardians of an ancient legacy that could not be shared with the world. The first sign of the Templars' growing power came when they were granted their own headquarters in Jerusalem. The Temple Mount, the very site where the original Temple of Solomon had once stood, became their center of operations. This was no mere coincidence. The Templars' connection to the temple was more than symbolic. It was the foundation of their entire order. As the Templars expanded their reach, they established a network of castles and strongholds across Europe and the Holy Land, many of which were strategically placed along trade routes. These strongholds not only served as military outposts but also as centers for commerce and financial transactions. At the heart of the Templar network was a unique system of banking. The Templars had developed a sophisticated financial infrastructure that allowed them to hold and transfer vast amounts of wealth across Europe. Pilgrims who traveled to Jerusalem could deposit money with the Templars in one country, and then withdraw it in another. This made the Templars one of the wealthiest organizations in Europe. But wealth alone doesn't explain the order's rise to such power. There was something deeper, something far more mysterious, that propelled the Templars into the annals of history. As the Templars continued to grow, so did the rumors surrounding their secretive activities. They became the subject of suspicion and intrigue, with many believing that they were hiding something of immense importance. Was it the Holy Grail, as some have claimed? Or was it something else entirely? The answer lies buried in the annals of history, obscured by centuries of secrecy and disinformation. What if the Templars' true mission was not to protect Christian relics, but something far older and more powerful, something that had the potential to change the course of history? The Templars were not just warriors. They were scholars, philosophers, and mystics. They were drawn to the ancient knowledge of the past, seeking to uncover truths that had been lost to the ages. Many members of the order were well-versed in the esoteric traditions of the ancient world. They were deeply influenced by the mystical teachings of the Kabbalah, the ancient Jewish mystical tradition, and by the secrets of the alchemists and philosophers who had sought to uncover the hidden truths of the universe. The Templars' quest for knowledge was not just about gaining power. It was about understanding the fundamental nature of existence itself. As their influence grew, so did their involvement in the politics of Europe. The Templars became key players in the complex political landscape of the time, forging alliances with kings and rulers across the continent. Their wealth and military might made them an invaluable asset to the Christian kingdoms of Europe, and they were entrusted with the defense of Christendom itself. But as the Templars gained more power, they also attracted the attention of those who sought to undermine them. Jealous rivals and corrupt rulers began to see the Templars as a threat, and their increasing influence became a cause for concern among the European elites. What followed was one of the most dramatic and tragic events in the history of the Templars: their sudden downfall. In 1307, King Philip IV of France, deeply in debt to the order, conspired with Pope Clement V to bring about the arrest and execution of the Templar leadership. The charges were bizarre: accusations of heresy, sodomy, and blasphemy. But the true reason for their downfall was much darker. King Philip wanted to seize the wealth of the Templars for himself. In a single night, the Templars were disbanded, their leaders arrested and executed, and their vast fortune confiscated. The world was left with a sense of betrayal and loss. But what of the Templars' secret? What had they been protecting all this time, and where had it gone? The answer to these questions remains elusive, hidden in the shadows of history. The legacy of the Templars endures, not just in the myths and legends that surround their name, but in the deeper truths that they guarded so fiercely. What if the Templars were not just protectors of a religious faith, but guardians of a much older secret, one that could alter the very fabric of reality itself? What if their rise to power, their wealth, and their influence were not just a matter of military conquest, but a consequence of their mission to protect something far more profound? The Templar's story is far from over. It is a story that continues to unfold, a mystery that beckons us to look deeper, to question what we think we know about the past, and to ask ourselves, what if the Templars' true mission was not what we have always believed it to be? The legend of Atlantis has been with us for over 2 millennia, a tale passed down through the ages, inspiring wonder, awe, and endless speculation. For most of history, Atlantis has been considered a myth, a fantastical story woven by Plato, the ancient Greek philosopher, who first described the lost civilization in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias. According to Plato, Atlantis was a powerful and technologically advanced island nation that existed thousands of years before his time, only to be swallowed up by the sea in a cataclysmic disaster. The story of Atlantis is one of grandeur, with its people said to have possessed knowledge and abilities far beyond anything we can imagine today. Yet, despite the fantastical nature of the tale, the idea of Atlantis has never truly faded from human consciousness. The question has lingered throughout the centuries. Was Atlantis a mere myth, or did it represent something more? And what if the Templars, with their deep connection to ancient knowledge, had discovered this lost civilization's secrets that could reshape the very course of history? To fully understand the potential link between the Templars and Atlantis, we must first dive into the heart of the myth itself. Plato's descriptions of Atlantis are vivid, painting a picture of an island that was home to a civilization unmatched in its wealth, power, and technological prowess. Atlantis was described as being larger than Libya and Asia Minor combined, a sprawling island surrounded by concentric rings of water. At its center, a grand city stood, its palaces, temples, and monuments reflecting the ingenuity and ambition of its people. The Atlanteans, according to Plato, had mastered the arts of war and peace, building an empire that stretched across the known world. Yet despite their greatness, the Atlanteans grew corrupt, driven by greed and a lust for power. Their downfall came swiftly. The gods, angered by their moral decline, sent a catastrophic natural disaster that sank Atlantis beneath the waves, never to be seen again. While Plato's account of Atlantis is the most well-known, it is by no means the only one. Throughout history, many cultures have spoken of lost lands and vanished civilizations, often with striking similarities to Plato's description. The ancient Egyptians, for example, spoke of a lost island in the Atlantic Ocean where a great civilization once thrived. In the Americas, the Mayans and Aztecs also had legends of advanced civilizations that disappeared long before the arrival of Europeans. Could these various myths be pointing to the same truth? Could there have been an ancient civilization, long lost to history, whose knowledge and power were so advanced that they were considered godlike by later cultures? Plato's account, however, is not the only source that has sparked interest in the idea that Atlantis was not simply a myth. Over the centuries, scholars, explorers, and adventurers have sought to uncover the truth behind the legend, examining everything from ancient maps to underwater ruins in the hope of finding some shred of evidence that would prove Atlantis was real. One of the most compelling aspects of the Atlantis story is the claim that the Atlanteans possessed knowledge far beyond anything known to the ancient world. According to Plato, Atlantis was not just a great civilization in terms of military and economic power, but also in terms of its advanced technology and understanding of the natural world. The Atlanteans were said to have mastered the forces of nature, harnessing energy sources that modern science can only dream of. They were capable of building enormous structures, manipulating the environment, and possibly even controlling the elements themselves. Could the key to their technological prowess have been an artifact, something that provided them with this extraordinary knowledge and power? This is where the connection to the Templars comes into focus. The idea that the Templars, a medieval order of knights, could have inherited the ancient secrets of Atlantis seems far-fetched at first. After all, how could a group of Christian knights, formed in the 12th century, have access to knowledge that predates their time by thousands of years? Yet, as we look closer at the Templars' origins and their mysterious rise to power, a different picture begins to emerge. One that suggests the Templars may have stumbled upon something far older than the Christian faith they swore to defend. The possibility that the Templars uncovered the lost knowledge of Atlantis is not as far-fetched as it may initially seem. The Crusades, which began in the late 11th century, were a period of intense religious and military conflict, as European Christians sought to reclaim the Holy Land from Muslim control. The Crusaders' primary objective was to capture Jerusalem and secure Christian dominance in the region. Yet, the Crusaders' journey to the Holy Land was not only one of military conquest but also one of discovery. As they traversed the ancient lands of the Middle East, they encountered relics, artifacts, and ruins that connected them to civilizations far older than their own. Among these ancient remnants were the ruins of the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem, which would later become a focal point for the Knights Templar. The Temple Mount in Jerusalem had long been a sacred site, believed to be the location of the biblical Temple of Solomon, the structure that housed the Ark of the Covenant. According to Jewish tradition, the Ark was an ancient artifact of immense power, said to contain the tablets of the Ten Commandments and the very presence of God. While the Ark's fate remains one of history's great mysteries, it is clear that the Temple Mount held profound spiritual significance for those who sought to claim it. The Crusaders and later the Templars were no exception. As the Templars began their work beneath the Temple Mount, they likely uncovered something far more ancient than they had anticipated, something that had been buried beneath centuries of history and conquest. What they found remains a mystery, but the possibility that they unearthed remnants of an ancient civilization, one that had long been forgotten by history, cannot be dismissed. The discovery of such an artifact or knowledge would explain much about the Templars' sudden and mysterious rise to power. The Templars were not simply a military order. They were also a religious and scholarly institution. Their commitment to protecting the Holy Land, while noble, was not the sole purpose of their existence. They were also protectors of something far more valuable, something that, if it were to fall into the wrong hands, could alter the very course of history. The Templars' financial power, their extensive network of castles and strongholds, and their secretive nature all point to the fact that they were more than just warriors. They were custodians of a knowledge that could not be allowed to spread beyond their order. What, then, was the nature of this ancient knowledge? It is here that the connection to Atlantis becomes even more intriguing. If the Templars had uncovered some aspect of Atlantean civilization, what was it that they had discovered? Could it have been a crystal, an object of immense power and significance, that held the key to the advanced technology and knowledge of the Atlanteans? The idea of a crystal with extraordinary abilities is not as fantastical as it may seem. Throughout history, crystals have been regarded as objects of power, believed to possess mystical properties that can heal, protect, or even control the forces of nature. In ancient traditions, crystals were often seen as vessels of energy, tools that could unlock the hidden potential of the human mind or the natural world. The Atlanteans, if they were indeed a civilization of advanced knowledge, may have harnessed the power of such a crystal to achieve their greatness. The Templars, having uncovered this ancient artifact, may have realized that they were the guardians of something far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. The crystal, if it existed, could have been a source of unimaginable power, a power that could potentially reshape the world. What's more, if the crystal held the key to understanding the advanced technology and knowledge of Atlantis, then it would have been a source of great intrigue for those who sought to control it. The Templars, with their sacred vows and their devotion to protecting the Christian faith, may have seen themselves as the only ones capable of safeguarding the crystal from those who would misuse its power. In the centuries that followed, the Templars became embroiled in the political and religious struggles of medieval Europe. Their wealth and power made them both influential and feared. But it was not just their military might that made them dangerous, it was the knowledge they protected. What the Templars uncovered beneath the Temple Mount may have been more than just an ancient artifact. It could have been a key to understanding the lost civilization of Atlantis and the incredible knowledge that it possessed. As the Templars' rise to power coincided with the burgeoning of alchemy, mysticism, and esoteric traditions in Europe, it is not hard to imagine that they became stewards of a far older, far more powerful legacy. The Templars' secret, if it was truly tied to Atlantis, was not meant to be shared with the world. It was a secret that could not be allowed to fall into the wrong hands, a secret that had the potential to change everything we know about our past, our future, and the very nature of reality itself. The discovery of Atlantis, or at least its legacy, would have been a powerful tool, one that could not be allowed to be misused or abused by those seeking personal power or profit. The Templars, by safeguarding this knowledge, took upon themselves the weight of an immense responsibility, one that would lead to their eventual downfall. But did the Templars truly fail in their mission to protect the secret of Atlantis? Or was the mission never meant to be completed? The answer may lie buried in the history of the Templars themselves, in the fragments of forgotten texts and symbols that they left behind. As we continue to search for the truth, one thing remains clear. The legacy of Atlantis and the Templars is the notion of the Atlantean Crystal, often whispered about in ancient texts and passed down through the annals of occult traditions, is one of the most elusive and mysterious elements of the Templar legacy. For centuries, historians, treasure hunters, and scholars have speculated about the true nature of the artifact that the Templars were allegedly protecting. Was it a relic of divine origin, or a creation of ancient minds far beyond our modern understanding? The concept of a crystal with such extraordinary powers is not merely a fanciful myth, but an integral part of the larger mystery that surrounds the Templars' mission and their connection to lost civilizations. The earliest references to the crystal are as old as the first written records themselves. From ancient Egyptian texts to the myths of Greece and the religious writings of the Bible, there are scattered mentions of powerful, glowing stones, crystals, or jewels that seem to possess abilities beyond normal comprehension. These references often describe objects that were imbued with mystical properties, tools that could heal, provide wisdom, or unlock hidden potential within human beings. In many cultures, such stones were believed to have been gifts from the gods, given to humanity to aid in the development of civilization. In some interpretations, they were even thought to be the source of an ancient technology that predated all known history. However, the most striking aspect of these crystal stories is the consistency with which they appear across different cultures, separated by time and geography. Whether in the myth of the Holy Grail, the ancient accounts of the Egyptian sun god Ra, or the secret teachings of the Gnostics, these glowing stones seem to be linked not just with religious symbols or divine intervention, but with a deeper, esoteric knowledge of the cosmos. What if these ancient crystals were not just symbols of power, but actual artifacts, objects that could alter reality itself? The Templars, as we know, were deeply influenced by the spiritual and mystical traditions of the ancient world. Their connection to the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem is central to understanding their role in the preservation of such knowledge. The Temple of Solomon, according to various ancient traditions, was not merely a place of worship but a repository of sacred wisdom. It was believed to house artifacts of tremendous power, including the Ark of the Covenant. While the Ark is the most famous of these relics, other objects, such as the Stone of Scone, said to have been used by ancient kings, or the mysterious tablets of the Ten Commandments, are often considered to have held similar properties of power and knowledge. The Templars' mission, therefore, may have extended beyond the physical protection of Christian relics. What if their true purpose was to guard a much older secret, one that had been passed down from the lost civilizations of the ancient world? This secret could have been tied to an artifact far older than any of the biblical relics they were meant to protect. It is entirely possible that the Templars discovered, beneath the Temple Mount or elsewhere, an object with powers that would have seemed godlike to the people of their time. Could this object have been the Atlantean Crystal? To understand the significance of such an artifact, we must first delve into the descriptions of the crystal itself. The crystal has been depicted in various ways throughout history, often described as a radiant, glowing gem or a translucent stone that emitted a strange, otherworldly light. Some accounts speak of it as being a source of unlimited energy, while others suggest that it had the ability to heal physical wounds or alter the very fabric of time and space. In many traditions, crystals are believed to be connected to the forces of nature, capable of channeling and amplifying the energies that flow through the world. Could the Atlantean crystal have been such a powerful object? Was it an artifact that harnessed the unseen forces of the universe, a key to unlocking the full potential of human consciousness and reality? In some accounts, the crystal is said to have been a tool of enlightenment, offering the bearer insight into the mysteries of the universe. The idea that an object could not only contain but also unlock hidden knowledge is central to many ancient traditions. If the crystal did indeed possess such abilities, it could explain why the Templars would have gone to such great lengths to protect it. They were not simply guarding a physical artifact. They were guarding the means to access a profound and transformative wisdom, one that could potentially alter the course of human history. What's more, the crystal might not have been simply a passive object. It could have been a key to a greater understanding of the universe, a means of connecting with the divine or tapping into the deepest aspects of the human psyche. The ancient Atlanteans, if they were indeed the technologically advanced civilization described by Plato, may have discovered how to use such crystals to manipulate the very forces of nature. The Templars, inheriting this knowledge, may have realized the potential dangers of such an object in the wrong hands. This would explain why they kept the crystal's existence hidden from the world, why they placed it under the most extreme form of protection. Throughout history, we have seen glimpses of the potential power that such a crystal might possess. In many ancient cultures, crystals were believed to be the keys to unlocking higher states of consciousness, providing access to knowledge that could not be gained through ordinary means. The Egyptians, for example, believed that certain stones had the power to enhance spiritual abilities, promote healing, or connect the individual with the divine. In the world of alchemy, crystals were central to the quest for transformation, both physical and spiritual. The Philosopher's Stone, a mythical object in alchemical lore, was said to possess the ability to transmute base metals into gold and grant eternal life. While the Philosopher's Stone is often regarded as a symbol of spiritual transformation, it is also sometimes depicted as a crystal, suggesting that such stones could embody both physical and metaphysical properties. The Templars, deeply influenced by the esoteric traditions of the ancient world, may have seen the crystal not only as a physical artifact, but as a symbol of ultimate knowledge. This knowledge could have been the key to unlocking the full potential of humanity, allowing those who possessed it to transcend the limitations of ordinary life and tap into the hidden forces that govern the universe. It would explain why the Templars placed such emphasis on secrecy, and why their order was structured in such a way that only the most trusted members were privy to its most sacred mysteries. But the question remains, if the Templars were protecting such a powerful object, why is there no clear evidence of its existence? Why, after centuries of searching, has no one uncovered the crystal or its secrets? The answer to this question may lie in the very nature of the crystal itself. If the object had the power to alter the fabric of reality, it may have been hidden not just physically but metaphysically. It could be that the crystal was never meant to be found, at least not until humanity was ready to understand its true power. Perhaps the crystal was always meant to remain a secret until the time was right for its revelation. This raises the possibility that the Templars, in their quest to protect the crystal, were not merely trying to preserve it from destruction or misuse but were instead safeguarding it from the very forces that would have exploited its power. The crystal, if it were indeed capable of altering reality, could have been used to control not just individuals but entire civilizations. If placed in the wrong hands, its power could have brought about untold chaos. This would explain the extreme measures the Templars took to protect it, why they chose to operate in secrecy, why they built their network of castles and fortresses, why they became embroiled in the political and religious struggles of medieval Europe. It is also possible that the crystal was never meant to be discovered by modern society at all. The Templars may have understood that the world was not ready for such a revelation, that unlocking the crystal's secrets would come at too great a cost. In this sense, the crystal may have been left deliberately hidden, its existence preserved only in the memories and traditions of the Templar order. The Templars, in their devotion to protecting the sacred knowledge they had uncovered, may have chosen to ensure that the crystal would remain a secret for as long as possible, hidden from the world until a time when humanity had evolved enough to understand its true potential. Throughout history, the idea of such a powerful object has inspired countless quests, expeditions, and searches. From the treasure hunters of the 19th century to the secret societies that followed in the footsteps of the Templars, the search for the crystal has never truly ceased. The myth of the crystal continues to haunt the collective imagination, a symbol of lost knowledge and untapped potential. Whether the crystal is a physical object or a metaphor for the ancient wisdom of Atlantis, it remains an enduring mystery, one that may yet hold the key to understanding the true legacy of the Templars and the lost civilization they sought to protect. The crystal, whether real or symbolic, is a reflection of humanity's deepest aspirations. The quest for knowledge, the desire to understand the universe, and the search for a deeper connection to the divine. It is a symbol of the potential for transformation, not just on an individual level but on a collective scale. In the end, the mystery of the Atlantean crystal may not be about the artifact itself, but about what it represents, the uncharted territory of human consciousness, the ancient knowledge waiting to be rediscovered, and the possibility that there is far more to our world than meets the eye. The Templars, in their silent guardianship of this secret, may have been the last protectors of an ancient wisdom that is as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. The fall of the Knights Templar is one of the most dramatic, tragic, and mysterious episodes in the history of the medieval world. In a single night, on the orders of King Philip IV of France, the Templars were arrested, their leaders tortured, and their assets seized. What followed was the swift and brutal disbandment of one of the most powerful and wealthy orders in Europe. But the question that haunts historians and scholars to this day is not simply why the Templars were destroyed, but what they were protecting that made them such a target. The suddenness and intensity of their destruction suggest that the Templars were not just enemies of the king and the church, but that they were guarding something far more dangerous, a secret that could have changed the balance of power in Europe and the world. At the heart of the Templars' downfall was a complex web of politics, religion, and greed. King Philip IV, known as Philip the Fair, had found himself deeply indebted to the Templar order. The French crown had borrowed vast sums from the Templars, and the king's lavish lifestyle had pushed the kingdom into financial ruin. But beyond his financial struggles, Philip also had political motivations. He wanted to consolidate power within his own hands and reduce the influence of any group that stood in his way. The Templars, with their vast wealth and political connections, were a threat to his ambitions. In 1307, with the full backing of Pope Clement V, Philip initiated a series of raids to arrest Templar knights and seize their assets. On the morning of Friday, October 13, 1307, the French king ordered the mass arrest of all Templars within his kingdom. The knights were taken by surprise, with many imprisoned without warning or due process. They were accused of heinous crimes, including heresy, idolatry, and sexual depravity. These accusations were almost certainly fabricated to justify the king's actions and to vilify the Templars in the eyes of both the church and the public. However, what is remarkable is the manner in which these charges were levied. The Templars were accused of secretive, occult practices, worshipping idols, engaging in strange rituals, and denying Christ. These charges, which are seen as part of a larger campaign to destroy the Templar order, suggest that the Templars were not simply being destroyed for their wealth, but because of something much more sinister. The charges against the Templars were designed to discredit them, to frame them as a subversive force working against the established order. Yet, there is evidence to suggest that there may have been some truth to these accusations, though not in the way that they were framed by Philip and his allies. The Templars were a secretive order, and their rituals were shrouded in mystery. They operated outside of the usual structures of medieval society, answering only to the Pope and enjoying a level of autonomy that few other organizations possessed. This independence, coupled with their immense wealth and influence, made them a target for anyone who sought to control power. But what if the charges of heresy and idol worship were not simply a pretext, but a cover-up for something much deeper and more dangerous? What if the Templars were not just guarding treasure, but a knowledge so powerful that its revelation could have led to the collapse of entire empires? What if they had uncovered the truth of the lost civilization of Atlantis and were protecting a relic of unimaginable power, the Atlantean Crystal? There are many theories that suggest the Templars' sudden downfall was not just about financial or political concerns. Some believe that the destruction of the Templars was the result of a deliberate effort to suppress a secret that had the potential to change everything humanity knew about its past and its future. The Templars, in their quest to protect the Christian faith, may have inadvertently stumbled upon a much older and far more dangerous truth, a truth that threatened not just the church or the monarchy, but the very foundation of civilization itself. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence supporting this theory lies in the Templars' deep connection to ancient knowledge. The Templars were known to have studied ancient texts, including the works of the Egyptians, the Greeks, and the Romans. They were also known to have had contact with other secret societies, some of which were deeply involved in the study of the occult and the mystical traditions of the ancient world. Could the Templars have discovered something hidden in these ancient texts? Something that tied them to a forgotten civilization like Atlantis? Was their interest in the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem not just about biblical relics but about something older, something connected to the lost knowledge of Atlantis? The Templars' secrecy and their fascination with ancient symbols and rituals point to the possibility that they had uncovered more than just religious relics. Many scholars have suggested that the Templars' use of occult symbols, such as the pentagram and the all-seeing eye, indicates a deeper understanding of esoteric knowledge. These symbols, which were considered heretical by the Church, may have been a way for the Templars to communicate and safeguard the hidden knowledge they had uncovered. The rituals that the Templars performed, which were often described as strange and mysterious, may have been part of an initiation process to protect the secrets of the ancient world. Secrets that could not be allowed to fall into the hands of those who would misuse them. The idea that the Templars were protecting an artifact of immense power is further supported by the fact that the order's downfall coincided with a period of intense political and religious upheaval in Europe. The 14th century was a time of great change, with the Catholic Church losing its grip on power and many rulers seeking to consolidate their control over religious and political institutions. The Templars, with their vast wealth and influence, were a threat to this new order. The Church, in particular, was wary of the Templars' growing power and autonomy. Pope Clement V, despite initially supporting the order, eventually aligned himself with King Philip IV and agreed to dissolve the Templars, citing their alleged heresy and corruption. The Templars' sudden and violent destruction is an indication that there was something much more at play than mere political maneuvering. The Church's condemnation of the Templars was not just about punishing a rogue order. It was about suppressing a secret that could have fundamentally altered the balance of power in Europe. The Templars, by their own admission, had uncovered something beneath the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, something that they believed was too dangerous to be revealed to the world. What if this was the very secret that led to their demise? As the Templars were arrested, their leaders subjected to brutal torture, and their wealth confiscated, a new chapter in the history of the order began. The remnants of the Templar fleet disappeared without a trace, their castles abandoned, and their network of influence effectively dismantled. But many historians believe that the Templars did not simply disappear, they went underground. There is evidence to suggest that the surviving Templars, or perhaps a splinter group, went on to form other secret societies, such as the Freemasons, which were later believed to have continued the work of the Templars in secret. If this is true, then the secret of the Atlantean Crystal, if such an object existed, was likely preserved and passed down through the centuries, hidden from the public eye but continuing to shape the course of history in ways that remain largely unknown. The question remains, what was so dangerous about the knowledge the Templars were protecting? Why were they willing to face persecution, torture, and death rather than allow the secret to be revealed? The answer lies not just in the treasure or relics they were guarding but in the ancient knowledge itself. Knowledge that had the potential to alter the course of human history. The Templars were not simply protectors of Christian relics. They were guardians of a much older truth, one that had the power to unlock the hidden potential of humanity and the universe. The destruction of the Templars was not just an act of political revenge. It was an effort to suppress a truth that could never be allowed to see the light of day. In the end, the fall of the Templars was not just a story of betrayal, greed, and ambition. It was a story of secrets. Secrets that, if revealed, could change everything we know about the past, the present, and the future. What were the Templars truly protecting? What ancient knowledge did they uncover, and why was it so dangerous? These are questions that continue to haunt us to this day, as we attempt to piece together the legacy of one of the most enigmatic and powerful organizations in history. The destruction of the Templars was not the end of their story. It was merely the beginning of a new chapter, one in which the truth of their mission may finally come to light. The destruction of the Knights Templar, though swift and brutal, only serves to amplify the enduring mysteries that surround their rise to power and their eventual downfall. As one of the most enigmatic organizations in history, the Templars have left behind an indelible legacy of secrecy, power, and hidden knowledge. Their story is marked by the relentless pursuit of an unknown, something beyond the material wealth and land they accumulated. What the Templars were truly after, and what they discovered along the way, remains the subject of intense debate and speculation. Perhaps the most compelling aspect of their story is the possibility that they were guardians of an ancient and lost wisdom, one that could not be understood by the world at large. The question of whether the Templars were protecting something more than just religious relics has led to the growing belief that they were, in fact, the custodians of an ancient power, something that could reshape not just their world, but ours. While the Templars have long been associated with the Christian faith, particularly their mission to protect pilgrims in the Holy Land, there is evidence to suggest that their true purpose was far more complex. The Holy Land, with its rich tapestry of history and religious significance, held a wealth of hidden secrets. Secrets that predated Christianity and were tied to ancient civilizations that existed long before the rise of the Roman Empire. The Templars, with their unrelenting quest for knowledge, may have uncovered a truth that was too dangerous for the rest of the world to comprehend. Was this secret linked to the lost civilization of Atlantis? Could the Templars have found something that connected them to the mythic origins of humanity? Something so profound that it could not be revealed to the masses? The possibility that the Templars were safeguarding the knowledge of Atlantis, or even an artifact of immense power from that civilization, is a tantalizing theory that has captivated the imaginations of historians, mystics, and treasure hunters alike. What makes this theory even more compelling is the central role that the Temple of Solomon played in the Templars' mission. For centuries, the Temple Mount in Jerusalem had been regarded as a sacred site, the location of the fabled Temple of Solomon. This ancient structure, believed to house the Ark of the Covenant, was thought to contain divine wisdom, hidden knowledge, and powerful relics. According to legend, the Ark itself was said to have been a source of extraordinary power, capable of commanding the forces of nature and even granting divine favor. The Templars, upon establishing their headquarters at the Temple Mount, likely became aware of the significance of this site, as well as the ancient knowledge hidden beneath it. Could they have uncovered something buried beneath the Temple of Solomon? Something far older and more powerful than anyone had anticipated? The notion that the Templars were uncovering more than just sacred relics is not a new one. Many scholars and esoteric thinkers have long speculated that the Templars were actively searching for something beyond the Christian artifacts they were entrusted to protect. Some have suggested that the Templars, with their vast network and resources, may have stumbled upon knowledge that predated Christianity by millennia. Knowledge tied to ancient civilizations like Atlantis, which was said to have been a beacon of wisdom and power. If the Templars had discovered such knowledge, they would have realized the immense responsibility that came with it. Such knowledge, if exposed to the wrong hands, could have caused irreparable harm. The decision to keep this secret hidden from the world would have been an act of both preservation and caution. The idea that the Templars were protecting something of great power is not limited to the speculation about Atlantis. Over the centuries, various theories have emerged regarding the nature of the Templars' mission and what they were guarding. One of the most prominent of these theories is the idea that the Templars were tasked with protecting the Holy Grail. This theory suggests that the Grail, far from being a simple cup or chalice, may have been a vessel containing not just the blood of Christ, but also a hidden source of ancient wisdom or power. Could the Templars have uncovered the Grail, or perhaps a relic linked to it, during their time in the Holy Land? If they did, it would explain the secrecy and the lengths to which they went to protect it. The Templars' connection to the Grail is further complicated by the fact that their order, from the very beginning, was immersed in mystery. Their rituals, their symbols, and their secretive nature all point to an order that was not simply concerned with military conquest or religious defense, but with something far deeper. They were initiates into a hidden world of knowledge, an esoteric tradition that linked them to the mystical teachings of the ancient world. From the very start, the Templars were deeply influenced by the idea of divine knowledge and the pursuit of hidden truths. They were not just soldiers of Christ. They were keepers of something far more ancient and powerful. This connection to hidden knowledge may have been what drove the Templars to construct such a vast and complex network across Europe and the Holy Land. Their castles, fortresses, and estates were not merely symbols of power. They were safe havens for the knowledge they protected. The Templars' financial empire, too, was not just a means of accumulating wealth, but a mechanism for safeguarding this knowledge. Through their banking system, they were able to move vast sums of money and resources across Europe, funding their operations and protecting their secrets. But the wealth was not the true treasure they sought. It was the knowledge they were entrusted to protect, a knowledge that could alter the course of history. But as their power grew, so did the dangers they faced. The Templars were not the only ones interested in the knowledge they guarded. Over the years, other powerful groups and individuals, both within and outside the Church, became aware of the Templars' influence and the secrets they were protecting. The Church, in particular, began to view the Templars with suspicion. The Order's growing wealth, its secretive practices, and its independence from papal authority made the Templars a potential threat to the established religious order. The papacy, under pressure from King Philip IV of France, turned against the Templars. In 1307, the Templars were arrested, their leaders executed, and their vast assets seized. What the Church and the king could not see, however, was the true nature of the Templars' mission. The Templars were not simply a military order. They were the last line of defense for something much greater, a secret that could not be allowed to be revealed. The events of 1307 were not just a political betrayal. They were the beginning of an effort to bury a truth that was considered too dangerous for the world to know. The idea that the Templars were the guardians of an ancient secret that could shift the balance of power is supported by the actions of the Knights in the years following their dissolution. While the public saw the Templars as a broken order, it is possible that the remnants of the order went underground, continuing their mission in secret. The rise of later secret societies, such as the Freemasons, has been linked to the Templars, with many scholars suggesting that these groups inherited the Templars' sacred knowledge and continued their work in a clandestine manner. The Templars' fall did not mark the end of their story. If anything, it may have been the beginning of a new chapter, one in which the secrets they protected would continue to haunt the world. Over the centuries, the legend of the Templars has grown, with countless theories and myths surrounding their true purpose and the treasures they guarded. Whether or not the Templars were guarding the secret of Atlantis, the Holy Grail, or some other ancient power, one thing is clear. They were keepers of something far more important than material wealth. They were the guardians of knowledge, knowledge that, if exposed, could have transformed the course of history. As we continue to look back on the Templars' rise and fall, we are left with more questions than answers. What was the true nature of the secret they protected? Why were they willing to die rather than allow it to be revealed? Was their mission one of spiritual devotion, or were they serving a deeper, more mysterious purpose? The Templars' story is one that continues to captivate us because it speaks to something profound within the human experience. A yearning for knowledge, for power, and for understanding the mysteries of the world. In the end, the Templars may have been more than just knights. They may have been the last of a long line of guardians, protecting not just a relic, but a truth that could change everything we know about our past and our future. The Templars' secret may still be hidden, buried beneath centuries of myth and mystery. But as long as their story endures, the search for that secret will continue, driving us to look deeper into the past, to question what we think we know, and to wonder whether the Templars were, in fact, the keepers of a knowledge that could unlock the very fabric of our reality. The enigma of the Templars' mission and their tragic downfall have inspired countless theories, legends, and searches for hidden truths. While the historical accounts of their arrest and execution in 1307 are well documented, the reasons behind their sudden and ruthless suppression by King Philip IV and Pope Clement V remain shrouded in mystery. What was it about the Knights Templar that made them such a threat? Was it their wealth, their military power, or something far more profound? An ancient secret they had uncovered, perhaps the knowledge of a lost civilization, like Atlantis, that could alter humanity's understanding of its origins and potential? These questions are far from academic. They touch upon the very nature of human consciousness, knowledge, and power. And the deeper we dive into the mystery of the Templars, the more we come to realize that their story is not just one of lost treasure or failed ambition, but of something much greater, the preservation of a truth too dangerous for the world to know. The Templars' connections to the ancient world, particularly the knowledge of lost civilizations, are not just a speculative exercise in historical fantasy. They are deeply rooted in the very foundations of the order's origins. When the Templars were first established in the early 12th century, their primary mission was ostensibly to protect Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land. Yet, as the order grew in wealth and power, it became clear that their purpose extended far beyond simply guarding holy sites. The Templars quickly became one of the most powerful and secretive organizations in medieval Europe, with their influence reaching across borders and their network extending into the heart of the Holy Roman Empire, France, England, and beyond. Their rise to prominence was meteoric, and the extent of their reach was unprecedented for a religious order. The question that arises is why the Templars became so influential, so powerful, in such a short span of time. Some historians argue that their military success during the Crusades was the primary factor behind their rapid expansion. However, military prowess alone would not explain their remarkable wealth, their intricate financial system, or their extraordinary level of secrecy. What is often overlooked is that the Templars did not just engage in military conquest. They also immersed themselves in the study of ancient knowledge. During their time in the Holy Land, the Templars were exposed to ancient cultures and traditions, including those of the Egyptians, the Greeks, and the Persians. They were surrounded by the ruins of civilizations that had long since vanished from history, and it is likely that they encountered texts, artifacts, and symbols that held a deep, esoteric significance. What if, during their time in the East, the Templars discovered something far older and more powerful than the artifacts of Christianity they had come to protect? What if they uncovered fragments of a forgotten civilization, one that had mastered knowledge and technology far beyond anything known in the medieval world? The Templars' association with the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem further complicates the mystery. The Temple Mount, with its long history of religious and mystical significance, had long been a site of profound interest for those seeking esoteric wisdom. According to legend, the Temple of Solomon housed the Ark of the Covenant, an artifact that was believed to contain the divine presence of God. But what if the Ark was not the only powerful artifact hidden within the temple? What if the Templars uncovered something even older, something tied to a lost civilization, perhaps the very knowledge of Atlantis itself? The possibility that the Templars were not simply protectors of Christian relics but custodians of a deeper, more ancient truth is a tantalizing one. If the Templars had uncovered such knowledge, they would have understood the immense responsibility that came with it. Knowledge of this kind, if shared with the wrong people, could have destabilized the very foundation of medieval society and disrupted the established religious and political order. There are many who believe that the Templars' true purpose was not just to safeguard Christian relics, but to protect a much older and far more dangerous secret. A secret that was buried beneath the sands of time and hidden from the world. Some have suggested that the Templars were guardians of the lost knowledge of Atlantis, a civilization that, according to ancient legends, was far more advanced than anything that came after it. The idea of an ancient civilization possessing advanced technology and wisdom has long captured the human imagination, from the writings of Plato to modern theories of extraterrestrial influence. But what if this knowledge was not just speculative fantasy? What if the Templars had actually stumbled upon remnants of Atlantis during their time in the Holy Land? The Atlantean connection to the Templars is not merely a product of modern speculation, but has roots in the ancient texts and symbols that the Templars were believed to have studied. Atlantis, according to Plato, was an island nation that existed thousands of years before his time, rich in resources and knowledge. The people of Atlantis were said to have mastered advanced technology, including the ability to manipulate the forces of nature. Some even believed that the Atlanteans had discovered a source of energy that could transform the world, an energy that was harnessed through the use of a powerful crystal. Could this crystal, or the knowledge associated with it, have been what the Templars were protecting? The idea that the Templars were guardians of an Atlantean artifact, a crystal of unimaginable power, has gained traction in certain circles of historians and mystics. What if the crystal was not just a source of power, but a key to unlocking the lost knowledge of Atlantis? The Templars, with their obsession for secrecy, may have realized that such knowledge could not be shared with the world. It was a secret too dangerous to be revealed, one that could change the course of history forever. The Templars' sudden downfall in 1307, when King Philip IV of France orchestrated their arrest and the confiscation of their wealth, could be seen not as the end of their mission, but as an attempt to suppress the knowledge they had uncovered. The king's actions were driven by both political and financial motives, as he sought to seize the Templars' vast wealth to pay off his debts. But there may have been something more at play, a deeper, more existential threat that the Templars posed to the established order. The idea that the Templars were guardians of ancient knowledge, possibly linked to the lost civilization of Atlantis, would have made them a target not just for their wealth but for the dangerous power they held. The charges brought against the Templars, heresy, idolatry, and even accusations of secret rituals, were likely designed to discredit the order and justify their destruction. It is likely that these accusations were fabricated or exaggerated, part of a concerted effort to vilify the Templars and frame them as a subversive force working against the Church and the monarchy. What is telling, however, is the specific nature of the accusations. The Templars were said to have engaged in occult practices and worshipped idols. These charges, though unfounded, point to the possibility that the Templars were indeed involved in the study of ancient, mystical traditions that the Church considered heretical. Their secretive nature, their use of symbols and rituals, and their knowledge of ancient texts suggest that they were part of a hidden tradition, one that transcended the Christian faith and reached back to the earliest days of human civilization. The idea that the Templars were guarding a powerful artifact, such as the Atlantean Crystal, would have made them both a threat and a target. Their secrecy, their influence, and their possession of such knowledge would have been seen as a challenge to the power structures of the time. The Templars, having uncovered the secrets of an ancient civilization, would have understood that they were the keepers of something far greater than material wealth or religious relics. They were the guardians of knowledge, knowledge that had the potential to transform the world. But as history has shown, knowledge of this kind is dangerous. It can be used to elevate humanity, but it can also be used to dominate and control. The decision to protect such knowledge, rather than allow it to be revealed to the world, was a decision that came with great risks. It was a responsibility that weighed heavily on the Templars, and one that ultimately led to their destruction. In the centuries since the fall of the Templars, the mystery of what they were protecting has only deepened. The search for the lost secrets of the Templars has inspired countless expeditions, theories, and books. From the search for the Holy Grail to the hunt for the Templars' hidden treasure, the quest to uncover the truth about the Templars continues to captivate the imagination. But as we look back on their story, we are faced with the same question that has haunted historians and mystics for centuries. What was the Templar secret? What were they protecting, and why was it so dangerous? The possibility that the Templars were safeguarding the knowledge of Atlantis, or an artifact linked to it, adds a profound layer to their story. The idea that they were the guardians of a secret that could change the course of human history speaks to our deepest desires for knowledge and understanding. The Templars were not just knights or soldiers. They were the last of a line of guardians, protectors of an ancient truth that may still lie hidden beneath the surface of history. And as long as their story endures, the mystery of what they were protecting will continue to drive our search for the unknown. The story of the Templars, with all its intrigue, mystery, and betrayal, reaches its true depth when we begin to explore the very heart of their mission. The reason they became so fiercely protective of secrets that, if revealed, could have reshaped the course of history. What was it that they were so determined to preserve? What drove them to guard their mysteries at the cost of their lives, their honor, and their entire order? It is one thing to protect a relic, a physical artifact. It is another to protect knowledge. Knowledge that has the potential to illuminate the hidden aspects of our world or to unleash forces too great for the human mind to grasp. Over the centuries, the Knights Templar have been associated with many things. The guardians of the Holy Grail, the protectors of sacred relics, or even the stewards of a great treasure. But beneath these outwardly grandiose claims lies a more profound possibility. The Templars were not just protectors of material wealth or religious artifacts. They may have been guardians of an ancient and forgotten truth, one that predated Christianity, one that may have been linked to the legendary civilization of Atlantis. In the wake of their sudden downfall, the Templars' true mission remains a puzzle, a mystery so vast and complicated that it stretches beyond simple historical analysis. The secrets they may have uncovered could well explain their dogged pursuit of esoteric knowledge, their symbols, and their hidden rituals. The Templars weren't just part of a religious order. They were likely inheritors of an ancient tradition, one that involved more than just the protection of the Christian faith. They were connected to something far older, something that might have provided them with insights into the very structure of reality itself. The allure of Atlantis has been present for millennia. The first known written account of this legendary civilization comes from the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, who spoke of a great island nation that existed long before his time. According to Plato's tale, Atlantis was a powerful and technologically advanced civilization that existed around 9,000 years before his own era. In his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, he describes a flourishing society with knowledge that allowed them to manipulate the elements, harness incredible technologies, and achieve a level of civilization that was unparalleled in history. However, this utopian civilization was also marked by pride and decadence, and according to Plato, it eventually fell into ruin, swallowed by the ocean in a single cataclysmic event. This story of Atlantis, while considered by some to be allegorical, has resonated through the ages as a symbol of humanity's potential to reach a state of enlightenment, only to lose it through hubris and corruption. The idea of a lost civilization, one that had achieved such heights and then vanished without a trace, holds an undeniable fascination for many. What if, beneath the veil of myth, there was some kernel of truth to Plato's account? What if Atlantis wasn't just a fantastical story, but an ancient civilization that truly existed, one that possessed knowledge far beyond anything seen in recorded history? And what if, just as Plato claimed, this knowledge was passed down through secret channels, preserved by a select group of guardians? Could the Templars have been those very guardians? Were they entrusted with the legacy of Atlantis, its knowledge, its technologies, and its mysterious artifacts? The very idea that the Templars could have been the keepers of such knowledge raises profound questions about the origins of the order, the nature of their rituals, and the extent of their influence. The Templars' connection to ancient knowledge may have begun with their exposure to the Holy Land. While the Crusaders were ostensibly fighting to reclaim Jerusalem from the Muslims, they were also immersing themselves in the relics and ruins of an ancient world. The Holy Land was, after all, a melting pot of cultures and knowledge. The Templars, with their deep connections to the region, would have encountered not just Christian texts, but also the remnants of older civilizations, Egyptian, Persian, and perhaps even Sumerian. These cultures had long since disappeared, but their knowledge, their sacred texts, and their esoteric teachings would have left an indelible mark on those who encountered them. The Templars, with their ability to travel across the vast expanse of Europe and the Middle East, would have had access to rare and ancient scrolls, manuscripts, and artifacts that few others could even dream of. And it is entirely plausible that in their exploration of the Temple Mount, they discovered something far more valuable than the traditional Christian relics they had been tasked with protecting. If the Templars did indeed uncover such ancient knowledge, it would have been far beyond what the average person could comprehend. This knowledge, passed down from civilizations like Atlantis, could have been a mixture of both scientific and metaphysical understanding, an understanding of the cosmos, of energy, of human potential, and of the natural forces that govern the universe. Could the Templars have discovered that the great ancient civilizations were not simply a reflection of their time, but possessed insights into the true nature of reality itself? The very idea of Atlantis suggests that the people of this lost civilization had mastered the elements, perhaps even discovering how to manipulate energy in ways that we today only dream of. If the Templars were the keepers of such knowledge, then they were not simply knights fighting for a cause. They were guardians of a deeper, more universal truth. The Templars' secrecy, their intricate symbols, and their mysterious rituals all point to the fact that they were part of a hidden tradition, one that spanned far beyond the medieval Christian world. Their use of sacred geometry, their connection to the Pythagorean school of thought, and their deep reverence for symbols that represented cosmic forces all suggest that they were privy to knowledge that had been passed down through the ages. Whether they truly understood the extent of this knowledge, or whether they were merely the last in a long line of guardians, is still unclear. But what is clear is that the Templars were not simply a group of warrior monks. They were the inheritors of something far greater than themselves, something that transcended their mission in the Holy Land. The notion that the Templars were involved in the study of ancient knowledge is further supported by the symbolic language they employed. The Templars, like many secret societies before and after them, used symbols to encode hidden meanings. One of the most famous of these symbols is the Templar cross, which has been interpreted by some as a representation of sacred geometry. This geometry, which underlies the structure of the universe itself, is believed to encode universal truths about the nature of reality. The Templars, through their use of these symbols, may have been attempting to preserve a deeper understanding of the universe, an understanding that was first cultivated in the lost civilization of Atlantis. Another aspect of the Templar mystery is the possibility that they were protecting an artifact, an object of great power, such as the Atlantean Crystal. The idea that the Templars could have been in possession of such a crystal is tantalizing, particularly when one considers the myths surrounding crystals in ancient traditions. Crystals have long been thought to possess extraordinary properties, capable of storing and transmitting energy, facilitating healing, or even altering the fabric of reality. If the Templars had uncovered an Atlantean crystal, it would explain their intense desire to keep it hidden. Such an object, if it were indeed as powerful as some have suggested, could have been a catalyst for unimaginable change, both for good and for ill. The Templars' downfall in 1307, as orchestrated by King Philip IV and Pope Clement V, marks the moment when this dangerous knowledge was, for a time, buried. The accusations against the Templars, charges of heresy, idolatry, and occult practices, serve as a testament to the fact that they were guarding something that could not be allowed to be known. The charges themselves seem designed not only to discredit the Templars but to erase the very possibility that they had uncovered something beyond the understanding of the medieval world. It is no coincidence that the Templars were targeted at the height of their power, when their influence and their wealth were at their peak. The suddenness of their destruction suggests that there was something about them, something intangible, that posed a threat to those in power. This something was likely not just their wealth, but the knowledge they possessed, the knowledge that they had uncovered a secret that could change the entire course of human history. In the years since the fall of the Templars, the legend of what they protected has only grown more mysterious. The search for the lost secrets of the Templars, whether they are connected to the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, or the Crystal of Atlantis, has inspired generations of adventurers, scholars, and mystics. The allure of this mystery speaks to a deeper longing within the human soul, a longing for knowledge, for a glimpse into the hidden dimensions of our reality. The Templars' story, and the secret they protected, continue to captivate the imagination because they represent the ultimate quest, the search for truth, for enlightenment, and for the power that lies just beyond our understanding. What the Templars uncovered, and what they kept hidden from the world, may still be out there, waiting to be discovered by those brave enough to seek it. And as long as their legacy endures, the search for that knowledge will continue. The Templars' disappearance from the annals of history is not the end of their story. Rather, it marks a transition into the deep recesses of legend, mystery, and speculation. After their sudden disbandment and the destruction of their order, a profound silence fell over the once powerful knights. But, as with all secrets too significant to remain hidden, whispers of their existence and the treasures they guarded continued to echo through the centuries. The fall of the Templars was not merely a loss of knights. It was the severance of a thread linking the modern world to a much older, more mysterious tradition, one that might have uncovered and protected knowledge that could change everything we know about our past. And while their physical presence was erased, their legacy, their symbols, and their secrets would endure, quietly woven into the fabric of history. The destruction of the Templars in 1307 did not mark the end of their influence. In fact, their downfall served as the catalyst for the birth of several secret societies that would carry on their mission of safeguarding knowledge. The most notable of these groups, the Freemasons, is often considered to be the inheritors of the Templar legacy. The Freemasons, like the Templars, have been tied to the pursuit of esoteric wisdom, and their symbols and rituals bear a striking resemblance to those of the Templars. There is much speculation about the degree to which the Freemasons inherited or were influenced by Templar traditions, and whether their secrecy and ritualistic practices were a continuation of the Templar quest for knowledge that was too dangerous to be fully revealed. The link between the Templars and Freemasons is not just based on similar symbols or rituals. It is also rooted in the shared goal of preserving ancient knowledge. The Templars were more than just warriors or bankers. They were custodians of esoteric traditions, of secrets that transcended the Christian faith and the institutions of their time. As the Templar order was being dismantled, those who survived the purge may have retreated into the shadows, adopting new identities or joining forces with other secretive groups to continue their mission. Many of the most influential thinkers and figures in history, from artists to politicians, have been linked to Freemasonry, and the Templars' secretive nature suggests they could have played a role in the development of such societies. The Templar legacy may not have been destroyed in 1307, but instead, it was carefully preserved in the hidden recesses of these new organizations, waiting for the right time to resurface. But the connection between the Templars and the Freemasons is just one of many that have been proposed in the centuries following their fall. Some theorists have suggested that the Templars' knowledge, particularly their connection to the Holy Grail and the lost wisdom of Atlantis, was passed down through other secret societies, such as the Rosicrucians or the Illuminati. The idea that the Templars were guarding a knowledge that could transform the world, whether it be related to the Grail or some other powerful artifact, is a tantalizing one. And as these secret societies grew and spread across Europe, it is believed that they kept the flame of Templar wisdom alive, waiting for the day when the truth would finally be revealed. One of the most enduring and captivating aspects of the Templar story is the idea of the treasure they are said to have hidden, possibly the fabled treasure of the Templars themselves or an even more profound secret that transcended the material wealth of the order. According to legend, the Templars were said to have accumulated vast riches during their time in the Holy Land. When they were arrested and their assets seized, it was believed that they managed to hide their treasure in secret locations across Europe, leading to centuries of treasure hunts and expeditions. Some believe that the treasure may have contained gold, jewels, and sacred artifacts, possibly even the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant. But others believe that the treasure the Templars were guarding was not material at all, but rather the knowledge and wisdom they had uncovered during their time in the Holy Land. This knowledge, which might have been tied to the lost civilization of Atlantis, was something that the Templars believed could alter the course of history. The idea that such knowledge could be passed down in secret, perhaps encoded in symbols or hidden in ancient texts, has fueled the search for the Templar treasure for centuries. The treasure of the Templars may not have been a single object or a pile of gold, but rather a key to unlocking the hidden truths of the universe. If the Templars had indeed discovered knowledge linked to Atlantis, knowledge of advanced technologies, lost sciences, or even an energy source that transcended modern understanding, it is likely that they encoded this information in symbols, rituals, and artifacts. The Templar symbols, which are so often associated with sacred geometry and the mysteries of the universe, may have been a way to preserve this knowledge and pass it on to those who were capable of understanding it. If this is true, the Templar treasure hunt is not merely the search for physical riches, but the search for a deeper, more profound truth that lies hidden beneath the surface of history. The myth of the Templar treasure has inspired countless adventurers, historians, and treasure hunters throughout the years. Some have searched for the treasure in the vaults of medieval castles, while others have looked to remote locations across Europe and the Middle East. Locations like Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland, which is closely associated with the Templars and Freemasonry, have become iconic in the search for the hidden treasure. But while many have searched for material wealth, the true treasure of the Templars may be something much more elusive. It is possible that the Templars never intended for their treasure to be found in a conventional sense. The knowledge they were protecting was not something that could be plundered or understood by the uninitiated. It is possible that the Templars encoded this knowledge in such a way that only those who were truly prepared, those who had been initiated into their mysteries, could unlock its meaning. The search for Templar treasure is not just about finding gold or jewels. It is about uncovering the deeper meaning behind their symbols, their rituals, and their hidden messages. And in this search, the legend of the Templars has inspired many to think beyond the material world and consider the possibility that the Templars were protecting a more profound, spiritual truth. This truth could be linked to the wisdom of Atlantis, knowledge that has been lost to the ages, but which may hold the key to understanding our place in the cosmos. Could the Templars have discovered a truth that, if revealed, would change everything we know about human potential, energy, and the universe itself? As the centuries have passed, the mystery of the Templars has only deepened. The disappearance of their treasure, their knowledge, and their influence has left a void that has been filled with speculation and intrigue. The stories of the Templars' guardianship of sacred relics, of their connection to ancient knowledge, and of their secretive rituals have captured the imagination of generations. Whether or not the Templars were protecting the Grail, the Ark, or something even more profound, their legacy continues to inspire a search for something greater, something hidden just beneath the surface of history, waiting to be uncovered. The Templars' story is not just one of medieval warfare or religious conflict. It is a story of a quest for knowledge, a quest that transcends time and space. The Templars were not just knights. They were keepers of a secret that was too dangerous to be revealed, too important to be lost. Their order may have been destroyed, but the legacy of their mission endures, passed down through secret societies and hidden symbols, waiting for the right moment to emerge again. The search for the Templar treasure is not just the search for material wealth. It is the search for a deeper, universal truth. And as long as their story persists, the world will continue to wonder. What was it that the Templars were protecting, and why did they go to such great lengths to ensure that it remained hidden? Perhaps one day the answers will be revealed. Until then, the search for the secrets of the Templars continues to captivate the human imagination, sparking a desire to uncover the truths that lie buried in the past, waiting to transform the future. The Templars were not just a medieval order of knights. They were guardians of a deeper truth, an ancient, powerful knowledge that extended far beyond the religious and military roles they played. The Order's secretive nature, coupled with the incredible wealth and influence they amassed, has fueled centuries of speculation about what they might have been protecting. The legacy of the Templars is marked by their association with mystery, power, and knowledge that was far from ordinary. The mainstream historical narrative often portrays them as mere protectors of the Christian faith and pilgrims in the Holy Land, but a closer look at their history suggests that their mission was far more complex and enigmatic. Were the Templars simply medieval warriors, or were they the inheritors of an ancient, hidden tradition, guardians of something profound, something that could change the course of history if it were ever revealed? The idea that the Templars were protecting something far greater than religious artifacts is rooted in the very origins of their order. While their initial purpose was to protect Christian pilgrims and secure holy sites in the Holy Land, the Templars quickly grew in power, wealth, and influence, establishing a network that stretched across Europe and the Middle East. Their vast wealth and control over key trade routes, as well as their intricate banking system, gave them unprecedented influence in both the religious and secular worlds. However, it is unlikely that their primary interest lay in accumulating wealth or land. The Templars' commitment to secrecy and their seemingly inexplicable actions suggest that they were guarding something far more valuable and far more dangerous than anything material. What if their true purpose was to protect knowledge? Knowledge that had the potential to shift the very foundation of human understanding. The possibility that the Templars were the custodians of ancient wisdom and hidden truths is reinforced by their deep connection to the Holy Land. The Crusaders who ventured to Jerusalem were not just fighting for religious dominance. They were also exposed to a world filled with ancient knowledge, much of it predating Christianity by thousands of years. The Templars, as they established their base in Jerusalem and began to excavate beneath the Temple Mount, would have come into contact with a wealth of ancient relics, manuscripts, and artifacts from civilizations that had long been lost to history. Among these artifacts may have been remnants of a civilization that was far older, far more advanced than anything seen in the West. Atlantis. The myth of Atlantis has captivated human imagination for centuries. Described by the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, Atlantis was a powerful and technologically advanced civilization that existed long before the rise of ancient Greece. According to Plato, Atlantis was an island nation located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the modern-day Strait of Gibraltar, home to a sophisticated people who had mastered the elements and harnessed incredible technologies. However, their hubris led to their downfall. Atlantis sank into the ocean, disappearing without a trace, leaving only faint memories of its greatness. Some believe that Plato's account was not merely allegorical but based on real events that were passed down through generations and eventually lost to time. What if the Templars discovered traces of this lost civilization? What if, while excavating beneath the Temple of Solomon, they uncovered remnants of an ancient, forgotten truth, evidence of a civilization that existed long before the rise of Christianity? The possibility that the Templars stumbled upon the lost knowledge of Atlantis, or at least fragments of it, is not as far-fetched as it may seem. The Templars were in the perfect position to uncover such knowledge. They had access to ancient texts, artifacts, and relics that few others could even dream of. Their base of operations, the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, was not only a site of Christian importance, but also a location tied to centuries of mystery and hidden knowledge. Could it be that the Templars were not just digging for Christian relics, but were searching for something far more ancient and powerful? Something linked to the lost wisdom of Atlantis? The connection between the Templars and Atlantis, though speculative, offers an intriguing explanation for their secrecy and the unusual symbols and rituals associated with their order. The Templars were known for their use of sacred geometry and other esoteric symbols that have been linked to ancient traditions and mystical teachings. Many of these symbols, such as the geometric patterns seen in the Templar cross and the number of knights in the order, suggest that the Templars were more than just military men. They were initiates into a much older tradition of hidden knowledge. The use of symbols, such as the compass and square, which later became associated with the Freemasons, suggests that the Templars were part of a long line of secretive groups dedicated to the preservation of knowledge that had been passed down through the ages, from ancient Egypt to the mystical teachings of Atlantis. The Templars' mission was not just about protecting sacred relics or defending the Christian faith. It was about safeguarding a secret, something that could change the very course of history if revealed. The secrecy surrounding their order, their use of hidden symbols, and their mysterious rituals point to the fact that they were guarding knowledge that was too powerful and dangerous for the masses to understand. The idea that the Templars were protecting something akin to the knowledge of Atlantis, that the order was not merely a Christian military organization but rather a group of guardians entrusted with a profound truth, is a theory that resonates with many researchers and historians. This ancient knowledge, once revealed, could change humanity's understanding of its own origins and potential. The Templars may have known something that, if exposed, could have led to a massive shift in both religious and scientific paradigms. The idea that the Templars were custodians of this kind of knowledge is supported by their connection to the most sacred sites in Jerusalem, including the Temple Mount. According to some legends, the Temple of Solomon was not just a place of worship, but also a repository of ancient wisdom. If the Templars were indeed excavating beneath the Temple Mount, as some believe, they may have uncovered hidden texts or artifacts that contain knowledge from ancient civilizations, including the lost wisdom of Atlantis. Could it be that the Templars found an artifact or perhaps a text that revealed the secrets of the universe, the nature of human consciousness, or even the hidden forces of nature? If such a discovery had been made, it would explain their intense secrecy and their reluctance to share this knowledge with the world. The role of the Templars in safeguarding ancient knowledge also provides a possible explanation for their dramatic downfall. The charges of heresy and idolatry brought against them in 1307, resulting in their swift and brutal arrest by King Philip IV of France, may have been more than just political maneuvering. While Philip's financial motives were undoubtedly a driving factor, it is likely that he was also aware of the Templars' potential connection to hidden knowledge that posed a threat to the established power structures. The Church, too, may have feared what the Templars knew, especially if they were the guardians of a truth that could undermine both religious and political authority. The Templars' secrecy, their vast influence, and their possession of knowledge that could challenge the established order made them a target. It was not just their wealth that led to their downfall, but the profound knowledge they had uncovered, a knowledge that could change everything. In the centuries following their disbandment, the mystery of the Templars only grew, giving rise to legends, myths, and speculations about the lost treasure they were protecting. The search for this treasure became a central focus for adventurers and treasure hunters, many of whom believed that the Templars had hidden their knowledge in secret locations across Europe and the Middle East. Some have pointed to specific places, such as Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland or the Knights Templar Castle in Tomar, Portugal, as key locations where the Templars' treasure may have been hidden. Others have suggested that the Templars encoded their knowledge in sacred texts or symbols, leaving behind a trail for those who were worthy to follow. But the real treasure of the Templars may not have been material wealth at all. Instead, it may have been the knowledge they guarded, a knowledge that transcended religious or material concerns. The true legacy of the Templars, then, may not lie in their treasure chests, but in the mysteries they protected. This knowledge, whether linked to Atlantis, the Holy Grail, or other ancient wisdom, may hold the key to understanding the true nature of human existence and our place in the universe. The Templars may have been the last line of defense for a truth that was too powerful to be revealed in their time. The Templars' story, shrouded in mystery and intrigue, continues to captivate the imagination. The idea that they were not merely knights fighting for a religious cause, but the guardians of a much deeper, older wisdom, offers a fascinating perspective on their legacy. Their secrecy, their use of symbols, and their connection to ancient traditions all point to the possibility that they were part of a long line of guardians dedicated to preserving knowledge. Knowledge that, if understood, could transform the world. The Templars' story is far from over. For as long as their secrets remain hidden, the search for the lost truths they guarded will continue to inspire new generations of seekers. The legacy of the Templars is not one of wealth and power, but of wisdom, a wisdom that may yet reveal itself, if the time is right. The fate of the Templars has been the subject of fascination for centuries, and their story, though largely erased from official history, continues to captivate the minds of historians, archaeologists, and conspiracy theorists alike. While most know them as a military order that was disbanded in the early 14th century, the deeper question persists: what did the Templars know and what were they really protecting? Their meteoric rise to power, vast wealth, and sudden, brutal fall have led many to speculate that the Templars were not just a religious order, but the keepers of secrets so dangerous that they had to be hidden from the world. These secrets, it is believed, were tied to ancient knowledge that could reshape humanity's understanding of history, religion, and the very nature of existence. Some argue that the Templars were not just custodians of Christian artifacts, like the Holy Grail, but were guarding a truth far older, possibly rooted in the lost civilization of Atlantis. This knowledge, if revealed, might explain the advanced technologies and philosophies of long-lost societies, offering a glimpse into humanity's potential. The central mystery that has intrigued researchers and adventurers alike is the question of what the Templars discovered during their time in the Holy Land. While they are often remembered for their military prowess and financial acumen, their presence in Jerusalem and their excavations beneath the Temple Mount hint at a far deeper and more profound mission. The Temple of Solomon had long been considered a place of sacred mystery, and the Templars, who set up their headquarters on the Temple Mount, were uniquely positioned to uncover hidden secrets that may have been buried for millennia. Among the most enduring speculations is the theory that the Templars uncovered ancient artifacts or manuscripts that detailed the knowledge of an advanced civilization, possibly one that existed long before recorded history. Atlantis has long been a source of myth and speculation. The tale of this lost civilization, described by the philosopher Plato, tells of a technologically advanced society that existed around 9,000 years before Plato's time, only to disappear beneath the waves in a catastrophic event. Many have speculated that Atlantis was more than a myth, and that its knowledge or remnants of it might have been preserved in secret for generations. Could the Templars have discovered this lost knowledge? The Temple of Solomon, where they excavated, was an ancient and revered site, one filled with layers of history from many civilizations: Egyptians, Persians, and Greeks. In fact, some scholars believe that the ancient texts hidden within the temple could have been the key to unlocking the secrets of Atlantis itself. The Templars, in their quest to understand these ancient texts and artifacts, may have become the unintended guardians of knowledge far beyond anything their contemporaries could have imagined. While the idea of Templars protecting the wisdom of Atlantis might seem speculative, there are clues embedded in their history that support the theory. For one, the Templars were known to have used esoteric symbols, many of which are believed to be linked to ancient knowledge. Sacred geometry, the use of numbers and proportions to understand the universe, is a key aspect of many ancient traditions, and the Templars' intricate symbols and rituals suggest they were part of this hidden tradition. The Templars were not merely soldiers. They were initiates into an ancient and mystical tradition, one that sought to preserve knowledge and wisdom from lost civilizations. It is possible that, in their travels and excavations in Jerusalem, they uncovered more than just Christian relics. They may have stumbled upon the secrets of a much older, much more powerful tradition. The Templars' role as custodians of this knowledge was not without consequence. Their wealth and power, which had been steadily growing throughout the 12th and 13th centuries, made them a formidable force. But their influence also posed a threat to the established power structures, both in the church and in secular monarchies. Their extraordinary wealth, amassed through their banking system and land holdings, was a direct challenge to the control of kings and popes. More threatening, however, was the possibility that they were guardians of a deeper truth, one that, if revealed, could alter the balance of power in Europe. The Templars were an enigma, powerful, wealthy, and deeply secretive. Their sudden fall from grace in 1307, when King Philip IV of France, with the support of Pope Clement V, launched a series of arrests and trials, is often viewed as an attempt to seize their wealth and eliminate the threat posed by their knowledge. The charges of heresy and idolatry brought against the Templars were likely concocted to justify their destruction and disbandment. It is highly probable that these charges, along with the confessions extracted under torture, were part of a larger campaign to discredit the Templars and suppress the knowledge they held. The Templars, it seems, were not simply accused of being heretics. They were accused of holding a secret that was too dangerous to be revealed. This secret could very well have been the knowledge they uncovered about ancient civilizations, such as Atlantis. The very fact that the Templars were accused of engaging in occult practices suggests that they were involved in the study of hidden, esoteric knowledge that had been passed down through the ages, preserved by secretive groups who understood its potential to shift the world's understanding of reality. The arrest and execution of the Templars did not erase the mystery surrounding them. In fact, it only deepened the intrigue. The remnants of the Order's wealth, knowledge, and influence continued to inspire generations of treasure hunters, scholars, and conspiracy theorists. The idea that the Templars were guarding a hidden treasure, possibly tied to the lost civilization of Atlantis, has fueled many expeditions and investigations. Locations such as Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland, the site of the Templars' presence in Portugal, and the Temple Mount in Jerusalem have all been associated with the Templars' hidden treasure. The search for this treasure is often framed not just as a quest for material wealth but as a pursuit of knowledge that could potentially unlock the deepest mysteries of the universe. The connection between the Templars and the search for hidden knowledge has persisted through the centuries, finding a home in secret societies like the Freemasons, who were believed by many to be the spiritual heirs of the Templar legacy. The Freemasons, much like the Templars, have long been associated with secrecy, hidden rituals, and the pursuit of ancient wisdom. The use of symbols such as the square and compass, the all-seeing eye, and the pyramid all have ties to sacred geometry and the esoteric traditions that the Templars are believed to have guarded. This connection suggests that the Templars' quest for knowledge did not end with their disbandment. Instead, their secrets may have been passed down through generations, finding expression in later secret societies that carried on the mission of preserving hidden knowledge. As the centuries passed, the myth of the Templars' treasure grew, intertwining with the larger narrative of lost civilizations and hidden wisdom. The idea that the Templars were not just guardians of Christian relics, but custodians of something far older and more powerful, became a central theme in many historical and esoteric writings. Whether or not the Templars truly possessed the knowledge of Atlantis, their role as keepers of ancient wisdom continues to captivate the imagination. The search for the Templar treasure, whether it is a literal treasure trove of gold and relics, or the more abstract treasure of ancient knowledge, remains an enduring pursuit for many. The Templars' story is not just one of military conquest and religious devotion. It is a story of a hidden tradition, one that transcended time, one that sought to preserve a profound truth, locked away for safekeeping. The question remains, what were the Templars protecting? The evidence suggests that it was not just material wealth but something far more valuable, a knowledge that could have changed the world. Whether they were the protectors of the lost wisdom of Atlantis, the Holy Grail, or some other ancient secret, the Templars were clearly aware of the dangers that came with safeguarding such powerful knowledge. In the end, the Templars' mission was one of preservation, not of wealth but of truth. The very nature of their secretive order suggests that they were entrusted with the most dangerous of tasks, to protect knowledge that, if exposed to the wrong hands, could have irrevocably altered the course of history. The Templars' legacy is not confined to the distant past. Their story continues to inspire quests for knowledge, adventure, and mystery. The search for their hidden treasure is not just a search for gold, but a search for something deeper, an understanding of the universe, of humanity's potential, and of the ancient wisdom that lies buried in the sands of time. What the Templars knew, and what they chose to protect, remains one of the greatest mysteries in history. But one thing is certain: their legacy will continue to inspire those who seek the truth, wherever it may lead. The secrets surrounding the Templars have persisted for centuries, often amplified by their dramatic fall from power and the way they were swiftly disbanded and destroyed by the very forces they had once served. But what was it about the Templars that made them so dangerous, so powerful, that both the Church and the monarchy saw it necessary to annihilate them? The mystery surrounding their sudden disappearance and the cryptic nature of their symbols and rituals have given rise to a multitude of theories, some more grounded in historical fact than others. Among the most enduring of these theories is the idea that the Templars were not just knights fighting for Christianity but were the guardians of knowledge that predated even Christianity itself, a knowledge that had the power to unlock humanity's potential and change the course of history. At the heart of this theory lies the notion that the Templars may have discovered something extraordinary during their time in the Holy Land. Something so profound, so potentially world-changing, that it necessitated the Order's secrecy and the protection of the knowledge at all costs. The Templars' role as protectors of pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land was merely the surface of a much deeper, more enigmatic purpose. Their mission, at least in part, appears to have been connected to uncovering hidden truths buried deep within the ancient ruins of Jerusalem. And these truths, it seems, may have been linked not just to Christian relics like the Holy Grail, but to knowledge that transcended religion and spanned across multiple civilizations, perhaps even dating back to the legendary lost civilization of Atlantis. The idea that the Templars were protecting knowledge of Atlantis has its roots in both myth and historical speculation. According to the famous account of Plato, Atlantis was an island civilization far ahead of its time, possessing advanced technologies and wisdom. However, as with many ancient civilizations, pride and moral decay eventually led to its downfall, with the entire island sinking beneath the waves. While Plato's tale of Atlantis is often considered allegorical by mainstream historians, the idea that such a society could have existed has fascinated people for centuries. Could the knowledge of Atlantis have been preserved, passed down through the ages in secret, and eventually uncovered by the Templars in the heart of Jerusalem? It is a tantalizing thought, one that suggests the Templars may have been more than just medieval knights. They may have been the inheritors of a tradition that stretched far back into the distant past, one that possessed the keys to hidden wisdom. This theory is supported, in part, by the Templars' deep connection to the Holy Land. Jerusalem, and especially the Temple Mount, were seen as sacred sites for many reasons, chief among them, the fact that they were believed to be the location of Solomon's Temple, a place of great significance in both Jewish and Christian traditions. The Templars, stationed at the Temple Mount during the Crusades, were uniquely positioned to uncover anything that might have been hidden there, especially in the underground chambers and ruins of the area. The Temple Mount had been a site of conquest and destruction for centuries, and if any ancient texts or artifacts had survived the ravages of time, they would likely have been buried beneath the surface, protected from the eyes of those who might have sought to destroy them. According to some theories, the Templars' excavations beneath the Temple Mount led them to discover remnants of an ancient civilization's knowledge. Perhaps texts, scrolls, or artifacts that detailed the advanced technologies, philosophies, and spiritual teachings of the people who had lived on Atlantis. These discoveries may have been so transformative that the Templars felt compelled to protect them at all costs. The secrecy surrounding their operations, their use of hidden symbols, and their intricate rituals all point to the possibility that they were guarding knowledge far beyond the understanding of the medieval world. This knowledge could have been tied to more than just religious or philosophical beliefs. It may have been the key to unlocking humanity's potential in ways that would have disrupted the established order. The use of sacred geometry, numerology, and symbolism by the Templars further reinforces the idea that they were connected to a hidden, esoteric tradition that predated Christianity. These symbols were not just random decorations but were thought to encode deep, hidden meanings that could only be understood by those initiated into the secrets of the order. Sacred geometry, which has been associated with ancient civilizations such as Egypt and Sumer, is based on the idea that the structure of the universe is governed by certain mathematical principles, often reflected in the natural world. The Templars' use of these principles in their symbols and rituals suggests that they were connected to a long line of secretive groups that understood the fundamental laws of the universe and sought to preserve them for future generations. If the Templars were indeed protectors of ancient knowledge, it would explain their intense secrecy and their willingness to go to great lengths to keep their discoveries hidden. The Templars were, after all, not just soldiers fighting in the Holy Land. They were also scholars, mystics, and initiates into a much older tradition. Their connection to the ancient wisdom of Atlantis, if it existed, would have placed them in direct opposition to the religious and political powers of their time, who would have seen the revelation of such knowledge as a threat to their authority. The fact that the Templars were accused of heresy and occult practices during their downfall is telling. It suggests that they were not just persecuted for their wealth or influence, but because of the dangerous knowledge they were believed to possess. The fall of the Templars in 1307 is one of the most dramatic events in history. The sudden arrest and execution of thousands of knights, led by King Philip IV of France and Pope Clement V, was a stunning blow to an order that had been at the height of its power. The charges against the Templars, accusations of heresy, idolatry, and occult practices, were designed to discredit the order and erase any trace of the knowledge they had uncovered. The Templars, it seems, were not just a military threat to the established order. They were a threat because of what they knew. And rather than allowing that knowledge to be revealed to the world, the monarchy and the church sought to eliminate the order altogether. The destruction of the Templars did not, however, erase their legacy. If anything, it only deepened the mystery. Over the centuries, many individuals and secret societies have claimed to be the heirs of the Templar tradition, and the search for their lost treasure has become the stuff of legend. Some believe that the Templars hid their knowledge and wealth in secret locations across Europe, creating a network of cryptic symbols, hidden messages, and clandestine organizations that would keep their secrets safe for centuries. Locations such as Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland and the Priory of Chaon in France have become famous in the search for Templar treasures, with their hidden symbols and intricate architecture fueling speculation about the Templars' true purpose. One of the most significant aspects of the Templar story is the notion that they were not simply guarding physical wealth, but were protecting a treasure of knowledge that transcended religious and political boundaries. This knowledge, some believe, may have been tied to the lost civilization of Atlantis, or to other ancient traditions that predated Christianity. The Templars' quest to protect this knowledge, in the face of persecution and destruction, has inspired generations of thinkers, writers, and treasure hunters to search for the secrets they left behind. Whether or not the Templars truly discovered the lost wisdom of Atlantis, or whether they were simply the protectors of ancient knowledge passed down through secret societies, their story remains one of the most enduring mysteries in history. The Templar story is more than just one of power, wealth, and warfare. It is a story of the preservation of knowledge, of wisdom passed down through the ages by secretive groups who understood that some truths were too dangerous to be revealed in the light of day. The idea that the Templars were guardians of a hidden truth, one that could alter the course of human history, continues to captivate the imagination. And though their physical presence has long since vanished, the legacy of their mission, preserving ancient knowledge and guarding the secrets of the past, remains a tantalizing mystery that continues to inspire both scholars and adventurers alike. The Templars were not just medieval knights. They were the protectors of a deeper, more profound truth, one that remains hidden, perhaps forever, waiting for those brave enough to uncover it. The Templars, whose rise and fall defined a dramatic chapter in European history, were not simply an order of knights bound by religious vows and military duty. Their legacy, steeped in mystery, points to something much more profound, a hidden knowledge, guarded for centuries, that has intrigued historians, archaeologists, and seekers of esoteric wisdom. What could possibly have been so valuable, so dangerous, that it warranted such secrecy and later suppression? The more one delves into the world of the Templars, the more the answer to that question becomes elusive. Was it simply material wealth that they guarded, or did they possess something far more dangerous? Knowledge that transcended their time and, perhaps, our own? The nature of that knowledge remains one of the greatest mysteries of all time, and it is this elusive secret that may hold the key to understanding the true purpose of the Knights Templar. The story of the Templars begins in the early 12th century, during the height of the Crusades. At that time, Jerusalem was a contested city, and Christian pilgrims flocked to the Holy Land to visit sacred sites. A group of knights, initially established to protect these pilgrims, soon grew in power, wealth, and influence, becoming a dominant force in medieval Europe. The Templars were no longer just soldiers. They were financiers, landowners, and political players, creating a vast network across Christendom. Their control over vast estates and their advanced banking system brought them wealth beyond imagination. But it is not their material wealth or military might that continues to captivate the imagination of historians and mystery seekers. It is the idea that the Templars were, at their core, guardians of a much older secret. A secret that they kept hidden, even as they rose to unimaginable heights of power. The Templars' connection to Jerusalem, particularly to the Temple Mount, is often cited as one of the key elements that ties them to hidden knowledge. For centuries, the Temple Mount had been a site of religious significance, but it was also a place of ancient mystery. The Temple of Solomon, believed to be located beneath the mount, was rumored to have housed sacred treasures, scrolls, and knowledge that could alter the course of human history. According to some theories, the Templars, who set up their headquarters on the Temple Mount, had access to these sacred sites and may have uncovered ancient texts or artifacts that were far more significant than anything previously known. Were these artifacts linked to the lost civilization of Atlantis? Could the Templars have discovered knowledge that had been preserved for millennia? Knowledge that had been passed down from one secretive society to another, safeguarded through the ages, until it found its way into the hands of the Templars? The connection between the Templars and Atlantis is a theory that has captured the imagination of many, from esoteric scholars to modern-day conspiracy theorists. Atlantis, as described by Plato, was an advanced civilization that existed thousands of years before the rise of ancient Greece. Its people were said to possess extraordinary knowledge of the natural world, as well as advanced technologies that allowed them to harness the elements and manipulate the forces of nature. The destruction of Atlantis, which Plato described as a cataclysmic event that sank the island beneath the ocean, left behind only the faintest traces of its greatness. The idea that the Templars could have stumbled upon remnants of this lost civilization, hidden beneath the layers of time and the rubble of Jerusalem, is a tantalizing one. The fact that the Templars were not only knights but also scholars and mystics gives weight to the possibility that their mission was not just military but intellectual and spiritual. In the Holy Land, the Templars were not merely fighting to secure Christian interests. They were engaged in a search for something far more profound. The excavation of ancient sites beneath the Temple Mount is one of the most intriguing aspects of their work. The Templars, according to some theories, were not just unearthing relics from the early Christian period. They were uncovering something far older, something that connected them to an ancient, forgotten world. Could the Templars have found ancient texts or artifacts that revealed the true history of humanity, one that was not recorded in religious texts or by conventional historians? It is a possibility that has intrigued many for centuries, and it raises the question of what the Templars were truly seeking beneath the Temple Mount. Did they find evidence of an ancient civilization, one whose knowledge could reshape the world as we know it? The symbols associated with the Templars, particularly those seen in their architecture and rituals, also suggest a connection to ancient knowledge. The Templars' use of sacred geometry, an esoteric system of mathematics that dates back to ancient Egypt and Sumer, is a key piece of the puzzle. Sacred geometry involves the study of geometric patterns and shapes that are believed to hold spiritual significance and to reflect the underlying order of the universe. The Templars' use of these symbols in their rituals and buildings suggests that they were part of a much older tradition of secret societies that understood the deeper, hidden truths of the universe. The Templars' connection to this ancient knowledge points to the possibility that their true mission was not just to protect Christian pilgrims, but to safeguard and preserve wisdom that had been passed down from civilizations long lost to time. This knowledge, it is believed, was tied to the concept of universal truth, a truth that transcended religious dogma and political power. The Templars, as guardians of this knowledge, may have understood that the truth they held was too powerful to be shared with the masses. The revelation of such knowledge could have destabilized the foundations of society, challenging established power structures, and altering the course of human history. In this sense, the Templars were not just defenders of the faith. They were protectors of a much greater truth, one that was hidden beneath layers of secrecy, waiting to be uncovered by those who were worthy. The downfall of the Templars in the early 14th century only deepened the mystery surrounding their order. When King Philip IV of France ordered the arrest of the Templars in 1307, it marked the end of one of the most powerful and influential orders in history. The charges of heresy and witchcraft brought against the Templars were likely a ruse to discredit the order and seize its wealth. However, the fact that the Templars were accused of heresy and occult practices suggests that their secret knowledge was not just religious in nature. It was knowledge that had the potential to disrupt the established order, and for that reason, the Church and the monarchy sought to destroy the Templars and erase their influence. The brutal suppression of the Templars did not, however, erase their legacy. Instead, their story became the stuff of legend. The idea that the Templars had hidden away treasure, knowledge, or artifacts of immense value fueled centuries of speculation and treasure hunts. Some believe that the Templars left behind clues, encoded in their symbols and rituals, pointing to the location of their hidden treasure. Others argue that the treasure the Templars guarded was not material but intellectual, a treasure of ancient wisdom and esoteric knowledge, locked away in secret locations, waiting to be rediscovered. One of the most enduring symbols of the Templars' legacy is Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland. This remote chapel, with its intricate carvings and mysterious architecture, has long been associated with the Templars and their hidden knowledge. The chapel's design, with its use of sacred geometry and symbolic carvings, has led some to believe that it holds the key to unlocking the secrets of the Templars. The chapel's connection to the Templars is also tied to the idea that it was built to house their most sacred relics. Perhaps the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, or even lost manuscripts detailing the knowledge of Atlantis. The search for the hidden secrets of Rosslyn Chapel has attracted many, from scholars to treasure hunters, all eager to uncover the mysteries that are believed to be buried within its walls. The story of the Templars and their hidden knowledge is one that continues to captivate the human imagination. Whether they were the guardians of ancient wisdom passed down from the lost civilization of Atlantis, or whether they were protecting other secrets, the Templars' mission was far greater than simply protecting Christian interests. They were the custodians of a deeper truth, one that held the potential to change the world. And while their order may have been destroyed, their legacy endures, continuing to inspire those who seek knowledge and adventure. The Templars' story is a reminder that some secrets are too powerful to be revealed, and that true wisdom can sometimes be hidden in the most unlikely of places, waiting for the right moment to be uncovered. Whether the treasure they guarded was gold, relics, or knowledge, the Templars remain one of history's greatest enigmas, an order shrouded in mystery, whose true purpose may never be fully understood. The mystery surrounding the Knights Templar has only grown with time. From their rapid rise to power during the Crusades to their sudden and brutal fall in the early 14th century, the Templars remain one of history's most intriguing and enigmatic organizations. While their official purpose was to protect Christian pilgrims in the Holy Land, their immense wealth, political influence, and the secrecy surrounding their activities point to a far more complex and hidden agenda. The legend of the Templars is interwoven with stories of lost treasures, sacred artifacts, and esoteric knowledge, all of which contribute to the enduring fascination with their order. But what was the true purpose of the Templars? What were they really protecting? And why did they go to such extreme lengths to keep their secrets hidden? Was their mission purely religious, or was it tied to something far older, more mystical, and potentially world-changing? The idea that the Templars were more than just religious knights, guardians of sacred relics and defenders of Christianity, has been widely discussed and speculated upon for centuries. While their military duties in the Crusades and their mission to protect pilgrims are well documented, what remains largely unexplained is their deeply secretive nature and their sudden disappearance. The Templars were not like other military orders of the time. Their influence reached far beyond the battlefield, extending into the realms of finance, politics, and even mysticism. They were one of the wealthiest and most powerful organizations in medieval Europe, with a network that spanned the continent. Yet, despite their outward success, they kept a level of secrecy that seemed out of proportion to their public persona. This secrecy, combined with their impressive wealth and global influence, has led many to believe that the Templars were not just protecting Christian relics, but something far more significant, something that could change the way we understand history, religion, and the nature of human existence. One of the key elements of the Templars' mysterious legacy is their connection to the Holy Land, particularly to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. The Temple Mount, a site of great religious significance to both Jews and Christians, was also a place of great historical mystery. The Templars established their headquarters on the Temple Mount during the Crusades, and many believe that their true mission was to excavate beneath the surface of this sacred site. According to some theories, the Templars discovered something extraordinary during their time in Jerusalem, something far beyond the relics and artifacts associated with Christianity. What they may have found is linked to one of the oldest and most enduring mysteries in human history, the lost civilization of Atlantis. The legend of Atlantis, as described by Plato, has captivated the imaginations of scholars, historians, and mystics for centuries. According to Plato's account, Atlantis was an advanced civilization that existed around 9,000 years before his time, possessing technologies and wisdom far beyond anything known to the ancient Greeks. The civilization of Atlantis was said to be a powerful and prosperous society, but its inhabitants' hubris led to their downfall. The island sank into the ocean, disappearing without a trace, leaving only a faint memory of its greatness. While many have dismissed Plato's account as mere allegory, others believe that it may have been based on real events, a story passed down through generations and eventually lost to time. The connection between the Templars and Atlantis may seem far-fetched, but there are reasons to believe that the Templars were, in fact, in a unique position to uncover the lost knowledge of this ancient civilization. The Templars were not simply soldiers. They were highly educated men, well-versed in the ancient texts of the civilizations that had preceded Christianity. The Templars' presence on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, a site that had seen countless civilizations rise and fall, would have given them access to hidden knowledge from the ancient world. It is entirely possible that, during their excavations beneath the Temple Mount, they uncovered texts or artifacts that revealed the existence of a civilization far older than anything known in the Western world. These discoveries could have included not just historical records but also advanced technologies, spiritual teachings, or philosophies that had been passed down through the ages, from the lost civilization of Atlantis to the ancient Egyptians and beyond. What the Templars may have uncovered, if indeed they found anything at all, is the subject of much speculation. Some believe that the Templars were protecting ancient manuscripts, perhaps written in a code known only to those initiated into their order. These manuscripts, it is suggested, could have contained knowledge of ancient technologies, philosophies, or even the secrets of the universe itself. This knowledge could have been so dangerous, so far ahead of its time, that it needed to be kept hidden from the general public. The Templars' use of secret codes, symbols, and rituals, many of which have been associated with sacred geometry and other ancient traditions, suggest that they were part of a long lineage of secret societies dedicated to preserving knowledge from lost civilizations. The idea that the Templars were protecting a treasure of hidden knowledge is supported by their connection to sacred geometry and mystical traditions. The Templars were known for their use of intricate symbols, many of which are linked to ancient knowledge of the cosmos, the nature of existence, and the relationship between humanity and the divine. These symbols, which can be found in Templar architecture and artifacts, suggest that the order was more than just a religious military group. They were initiates into an esoteric tradition, one that understood the deeper mysteries of the universe. This knowledge, passed down through the ages, could have been tied to the lost wisdom of Atlantis, knowledge that had been guarded by secret societies for millennia. The Templars, with their widespread influence and access to sacred sites, were in a unique position to uncover and protect this ancient treasure. The secrecy surrounding the Templars has always been one of the most intriguing aspects of their story. Despite their prominence and influence, the Templars were incredibly secretive about their rituals, their symbols, and their true purpose. This secrecy has given rise to numerous theories about what the Templars were really protecting. Some believe that the Templars were guardians of the Holy Grail, the legendary cup said to have been used by Christ at the Last Supper. Others suggest that they were protecting the Ark of the Covenant, the sacred chest that housed the Ten Commandments. Still, others propose that the Templars were guarding something even more profound, an ancient and forgotten truth, one that could change humanity's understanding of history and the universe. The idea that the Templars were safeguarding knowledge tied to Atlantis fits into this larger narrative, suggesting that the order was not just concerned with religious artifacts, but with protecting the wisdom of the ancients. The Templars' sudden and brutal fall in the early 14th century only deepened the mystery surrounding their order. In 1307, King Philip IV of France, desperate to seize the wealth of the Templars, launched a campaign of arrests and executions, accusing the order of heresy and occult practices. The charges, many of which were extracted under torture, were likely fabricated to justify the destruction of the Templars and their wealth. However, the fact that the Templars were accused of engaging in occult practices and of hiding secret knowledge suggests that their true purpose was far more complex than simply defending the Christian faith. It is possible that the Templars were not just protecting religious relics, but were guarding something much more significant, knowledge that had the potential to disrupt the power structures of their time. The legacy of the Templars has continued to inspire speculation and fascination for centuries. The idea that the Templars were guardians of ancient wisdom, passed down from Atlantis and hidden away in sacred texts, has been the subject of countless books, documentaries, and theories. Some believe that the Templars left behind clues, hidden in their symbols and architecture, that point to the location of their treasure. Others suggest that the treasure was not material but intellectual, a treasure of hidden knowledge that could unlock the mysteries of the universe. Whatever the truth may be, it is clear that the Templars were not merely knights in armor. They were the protectors of something far greater, something that has continued to elude discovery for centuries. In the centuries following the fall of the Templars, their story has become entwined with the myths and legends of secret societies, treasure hunters, and occultists. The search for the lost knowledge of the Templars has taken on a life of its own, with many claiming to have discovered the truth behind the Order's mysterious mission. Whether or not the Templars were truly protecting the secrets of Atlantis, or whether they were guarding some other form of ancient wisdom, their legacy endures. The mystery of what they were protecting continues to inspire those who seek to uncover the hidden truths of our past. And their story remains one of the greatest unsolved enigmas in history. The Templars may have been erased from the pages of history, but their secrets remain, waiting for those who are brave enough to uncover them. The Templars' story is one of the most enduring and perplexing mysteries in history, a tale that blends religious devotion, military prowess, immense wealth, and an unrelenting quest for hidden knowledge. While the Order's official purpose was to protect Christian pilgrims and fight in the Crusades, the deeper question has always lingered. What else were the Templars guarding, and why was it so dangerous that the Church and monarchy conspired to destroy them entirely? The possibility that the Templars had unearthed something extraordinary, an artifact, a text, or knowledge tied to an ancient civilization such as Atlantis, has fascinated historians and mystics for centuries. This notion raises profound questions about the nature of power, secrecy, and the lengths humanity will go to preserve knowledge that could change the course of history. The idea that the Templars were guardians of a profound and secret knowledge is supported by the unusual combination of skills and pursuits that define the Order. Unlike most medieval military orders, the Templars were highly educated, well-traveled, and engaged in activities that extended far beyond the battlefield. They developed one of the earliest forms of international banking, creating a system that allowed nobles, pilgrims, and merchants to safely store and transfer wealth across Europe and the Holy Land. They owned vast estates, castles, and fortresses, and wielded influence in both political and religious spheres. But it was their esoteric practices, their obsession with secrecy, and their mysterious rituals that hint at a purpose beyond wealth and politics. They were scholars, initiates, and custodians of something far greater than material treasures. Central to the Templars' story is their connection to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, a site rich with layers of history and mystery. Jerusalem had been a focal point of human civilization for millennia, and the Temple Mount was believed to be the site of Solomon's Temple, a place of great religious and symbolic significance. According to some theories, the Templars were not just stationed there to maintain Christian presence or defend pilgrims. They were conducting secret excavations beneath the temple. These excavations may have revealed remnants of ancient civilizations, artifacts, or manuscripts hidden for centuries. It is tantalizing to imagine that within the shadowy depths beneath the Temple Mount, the Templars discovered evidence of a world far older than their own, a civilization with knowledge and wisdom lost to the rest of humanity. The link between the Templars and Atlantis has long been a point of fascination for those who explore the esoteric and the mysterious. Plato's account of Atlantis describes a highly advanced society, technologically and spiritually superior, that ultimately fell into corruption and was destroyed in a cataclysm. While mainstream historians often dismiss Atlantis as allegory, the Templars' pursuit of hidden knowledge suggests they may have uncovered remnants of civilizations whose history was erased or deliberately hidden. The Order's fascination with sacred geometry, cryptic symbols, and ritualistic practices indicates an understanding of principles that go beyond the ordinary comprehension of medieval Europe. Such knowledge could have originated from an advanced, ancient culture, and the Templars may have seen themselves as its custodians. Templar symbols are among the most compelling pieces of evidence for their involvement in esoteric knowledge. Their use of crosses, interlocking patterns, and numerology suggests that their rituals were designed to encode and preserve sacred wisdom. Sacred geometry, in particular, is thought to encode the structure of the universe, spiritual truths, and the hidden order behind nature. Many Templar sites, from their castles to their chapels, display patterns and alignments that appear to mirror these principles. The Templars were not merely knights. They were scholars and mystics, initiates into a tradition that had roots long before the Christian era. By embedding knowledge into their architecture and rituals, the Templars ensured that even if the order were destroyed, traces of their wisdom would survive for future generations. One of the most enduring mysteries of the Templars involves what exactly they found beneath Jerusalem. Various accounts and legends suggest that they may have discovered artifacts of immense power, sacred relics, or manuscripts detailing advanced knowledge. Some theories posit that these artifacts were connected to the Holy Grail, a symbol of divine wisdom and eternal life. Others argue that the Templars may have discovered technology or knowledge far beyond their time, perhaps even tied to the lost civilization of Atlantis. If these accounts are true, it would explain the extreme measures taken to erase the Templars from history. What they knew was not merely dangerous in a spiritual or religious sense. It was potentially disruptive to the very foundations of European political and religious power. The fall of the Templars was as dramatic as their rise. King Philip IV of France, deeply indebted to the order and threatened by its influence, orchestrated a campaign to destroy them. On Friday, October 13, 1307, hundreds of Templars were arrested simultaneously, charged with heresy, idolatry, and blasphemy. Many were tortured into confessing crimes they did not commit, and the order was officially disbanded by Pope Clement V. However, the ferocity of this purge suggests that the Templars were more than a financial or military threat. The secrecy surrounding their knowledge, and the possibility that they had uncovered artifacts or wisdom that could shift power dynamics, likely played a crucial role in their annihilation. The order's destruction was not just a legal action. It was a calculated move to suppress knowledge that was too dangerous to reveal. Despite the order's official suppression, the Templars' influence and secrets endured. Many historians believe that surviving members of the order went underground, passing down their knowledge through secret societies, the most notable being the Freemasons. The Freemasons, with their symbolic rituals, cryptic teachings, and reverence for sacred geometry, share striking similarities with Templar traditions. Some argue that these secret societies were, in effect, the spiritual heirs of the Templar order, safeguarding knowledge that had been hidden for centuries. The very persistence of these traditions suggests that what the Templars were protecting was of enduring significance, something that could not be destroyed by arrests, torture, or the disbandment of the order. The connection between Templar secrecy and human destiny is a theme that recurs in many accounts of their history. It is suggested that the knowledge they guarded was not simply historical or scientific, but existential. A wisdom about the nature of the universe, humanity's place within it, and the potential that lies dormant within human consciousness. Such knowledge, if revealed prematurely, could have caused upheaval, disrupted religious dogma, and challenged the authority of monarchs and the church. By safeguarding these secrets, the Templars were performing a role that was simultaneously protective and conservative, preserving humanity's potential while shielding it from the consequences of revelation before the world was ready. Modern fascination with the Templars often centers on their hidden treasures. But it is increasingly clear that the treasure may have been less material and more intellectual, philosophical, and spiritual. Tales of lost artifacts, secret manuscripts, and esoteric wisdom continue to fuel exploration and speculation. Sites associated with the Templars, including Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland and various former commanderies across Europe, are believed to harbor clues to the order's secrets. The intricate carvings, hidden symbols, and complex architectural designs at these sites suggest a careful preservation of knowledge, encoded in a way that only the initiated could understand. It is possible that the Templars intended these locations to act as both repositories and teaching tools, ensuring that future generations could access the wisdom they had guarded when the time was right. The narrative of the Templars also intersects with broader questions about the survival of ancient knowledge. Across the world, from Egypt to Mesopotamia, civilizations have risen and fallen, leaving behind fragments of wisdom embedded in texts, artifacts, and architecture. The Templars may have seen themselves as part of this lineage, a link in a chain of custodians tasked with preserving knowledge that might otherwise be lost. By uncovering remnants of civilizations like Atlantis, they could have gained insights into energy, spirituality, and technology far ahead of their time. Their work, therefore, was not merely protective but transformative, with the potential to guide human civilization along a path of enlightenment if interpreted and applied correctly. Yet, with all their knowledge and influence, the Templars were not invulnerable. Their destruction demonstrates the peril inherent in guarding dangerous knowledge. When political and religious powers felt threatened, they acted decisively to eliminate the Templars. This serves as a stark reminder of the tension between knowledge and authority, and the lengths to which institutions will go to control information. The suppression of the Templars shows that some truths are considered too powerful, too dangerous, to be left in the hands of those who might reveal them, even if those hands are dedicated to preservation. In the centuries since their fall, the Templars have become a symbol of hidden wisdom and guarded secrets, inspiring myths, legends, and scholarly debate alike. Their story raises profound questions about what is truly valuable in human history. Is it wealth, power, or the preservation of knowledge that shapes the course of civilizations? The Templars' legacy suggests that knowledge itself, especially knowledge lost to time or preserved in secret, may be the most powerful force of all. They were not merely knights of faith and war. They were custodians of a mystery that, if revealed, could challenge humanity's understanding of itself, its history, and its potential. The Templars remind us that some truths are so dangerous and so profound that they must be protected across centuries, and that the quest to uncover them is a journey that continues even today. The Templars' story is one that begins in the depths of history, an enigmatic journey that continues to stir imaginations today. They were not just warriors dressed in armor. They were a brotherhood that spanned the globe, wielding influence and secrecy in equal measure. As military protectors of Christian pilgrims in the Holy Land, the Knights Templar began with a clear purpose: to defend the sanctity of Jerusalem and ensure that those who came to venerate its holy sites could do so without fear of attack. But as the years went by and their fortunes grew, it became apparent that the Templars' mission was not so simple. They began to accumulate wealth, power, and land, all while maintaining an air of mystery that surrounded their activities. They amassed vast estates across Europe, built castles and fortresses, and became one of the most influential military orders in medieval Christendom. Yet, despite their outward success, there was always something hidden beneath the surface. The question that has haunted historians for centuries is, what exactly were the Templars guarding, and why was it so important that they went to such lengths to protect it? Many theories exist as to what the Templars were truly guarding, ranging from material wealth and treasures to more abstract concepts like sacred knowledge or ancient wisdom. The most famous of these theories revolves around the possibility that the Templars were the keepers of the Holy Grail, the legendary cup that Jesus Christ is said to have used at the Last Supper. According to this theory, the Templars, during their time in the Holy Land, discovered the Grail, or at least some clue that would lead to it. The Grail, as the story goes, is not just a religious artifact but a symbol of divine knowledge, possessing the power to reveal eternal truths about humanity's spiritual destiny. The idea that the Templars might have found the Grail, or a relic connected to it, adds a layer of mysticism and grandeur to their mission, transforming them from mere warriors into the guardians of a cosmic secret. However, the notion of the Grail as the central treasure that the Templars protected is just one piece of the puzzle. There is another, perhaps more tantalizing possibility, that the Templars were guarding knowledge of an even older civilization, one that existed long before Christianity, one whose wisdom might have influenced the ancient world and whose knowledge was thought to have been lost to time. This knowledge, the argument goes, was so powerful, so dangerous, that the Templars, in their wisdom, decided to protect it at all costs, even from the Church itself. One such civilization, frequently mentioned in theories of this kind, is the lost city of Atlantis, a place described by Plato as an advanced society with unparalleled technology and spiritual knowledge, which ultimately fell victim to its own pride and sank beneath the waves. Could it be that the Templars, while excavating beneath the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, uncovered remnants of Atlantis, preserved in sacred manuscripts or artifacts? It is a theory that has captivated the imaginations of many, suggesting that the Templars were not only protecting the sacred sites of Christianity, but were also involved in the preservation of a much older, hidden tradition of knowledge. If the Templars did indeed uncover such knowledge, their secrecy becomes even more understandable. The possibility that they were safeguarding the secrets of Atlantis, or some form of ancient wisdom, explains why their order was so closely guarded and why they were not open about their activities, even with the Church. In a time when the Catholic Church held absolute authority and any deviation from orthodoxy was seen as a threat, the idea that the Templars were privy to knowledge that could challenge the very foundation of Christian doctrine would have been considered heretical. This could explain why they were so fiercely persecuted in the early 14th century, leading to their abrupt and violent disbandment. The sudden destruction of the Templar order in 1307 raises more questions than it answers. King Philip IV of France, deeply indebted to the Templars and in need of their wealth to fund his own ambitions, made the decision to strike against the order. On Friday, October 13th, hundreds of Templars were arrested in one of the most coordinated actions in medieval history. Many were tortured, forced to confess to crimes such as heresy, witchcraft, and idol worship. The charges leveled against them were vague and often absurd, suggesting that the real motivation behind their persecution was something far deeper. The Templars, with their wealth, their secretive nature, and their connection to Jerusalem, were not just military men. They were perceived as a serious threat to the established power structures of both the Church and the monarchy. Their wealth could be seized, their power broken, but what of their knowledge? Was the real threat posed by the Templars the secrets they had uncovered, the knowledge they had preserved from a forgotten age? And if so, what was this knowledge and why was it so dangerous? The theory that the Templars were the keepers of ancient wisdom is not without its critics. Many historians dismiss the notion as mere legend or speculative fantasy. The lack of concrete evidence to support the idea that the Templars discovered Atlantis or any other ancient civilization's knowledge has led many to believe that such theories are nothing more than a modern-day myth. The Church, in its efforts to discredit the Templars, made sure to destroy any tangible evidence of their activities. What remained were only whispers of the order's secretive practices, cryptic symbols, and architectural designs that suggested a deeper purpose. The true nature of the Templars' mission, if it was indeed tied to an ancient knowledge, may have been lost forever. But this does not mean that the search for that knowledge has ended. The idea that the Templars may have left behind clues, hidden in their symbols or encoded in their architecture, has fueled centuries of speculation, treasure hunts, and investigations into their true purpose.